Where you at?
Yo, 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 it's the weekend rhyme. It's your boy Ron. It's Leroy Green. We back at it again. You may be asking, why do I have my mic out like this? Because I have some audio problems. So I had to bring out some old equipment, man, to make the show be what it is, man. But yo, we here tonight.
Fresh.
We making it work. We making it work, got a lot to talk about tonight, man. How you doing, Leroy? What's good, bro?
I'm doing great, man. Hip hop is giving me a great problem, and I don't even want to call it a problem, but it's too much good music for me to listen to in one night or one day. So I'm having an overload of dopeness. Everybody is pulled up to be dope now. So let's talk about it. You know what I mean?
Let's talk about so much dope music going out, man. Shout out to everybody that's dropping new records. There were a lot of announcements this week. I know ASAP Rocky announced over in Paris that he has an album coming out in August, his first album since 2018. So that's coming out. The Clipse, speaking of Paris and fashion, they debuted some new music in Paris at the fashion show. So you got that going on.
Birds don't sing, right?
Birds don't sing. Yo, they got Kendrick Lamar. It filmed a new video for Not Like Us in Compton over the weekend. I heard it was lit, representing the West Coast. So it's a lot going on. So, all right, so let's talk about it. So Kendrick Lamar did the video in Compton. What did you hear about it, Leroy? What you think about the pop out continuing?
No, it's continuing, and I heard about it today. So when I got up this morning, I see he was shooting a video. I knew that a video would come eventually, and I knew it was coming around the corner or whatever. But to see he's shooting it now, I thought they were going to use footage from the live show, which I think they might still could use. But we're going to talk about, a bunch of things with Kendrick Lamar, but it was awesome, and I think he should keep it going. You know, for people, is there anybody else out there that still only thinks this battle is about Drake, or does someone see does everybody see the bigger picture? You know, especially with Kendrick's verses, he's talking about the colonization of the culture. Does everybody see the bigger picture, or you just think it's Drake? Just a question. You know what I mean?
Well, no, I see the bigger picture. I think it started off about Drake. I think it started off about the subject being Aubrey Graham. It was that. But now it's shifted to represent something else. It's representing now a galvanization of a West Coast, the bringing back of the West Coast. So this is what we're talking about now. We're talking about a movement, a seismic shift of power in the rap game. You know, it was the South had it for a while. I mean, the South had it. Let's keep it a buck. I mean, we talk about T.I., we talk about Wayne, we talk about Scarface, we talk about Ludacris. We talk about even Trick Daddy's run. We talk about all the Southern MCs. Talking about Rocco. We talk about Jeezy. We talk about all these guys in the South that had it for like damn near a decade or 15 years. You know, the East Coast had a drought. Then you had even J. Cole. He's from North Carolina. You got little brother J. Cole, Raspberry. You know, all these people that are from the South that had the game on lock. The Game and Kendrick were the only two people really, and he had John Connor and folks like that, but Game and Kendrick were the only ones that were really holding the coast down for a very, very, very long time. Even if you look at like the Houston wave with Slim Thug and you had Slim Thug and you had Mike Jones, you had Paul Wall and all that Texas run. So now it's now shifting. Now all eyes on the West Coast right now. Kendrick's got the Game on Smash. It's looking good. It looked like a celebration out there in Compton over the weekend.
Well, I think that is true. I wasn't just talking about regional though. You know what I mean? So, but that is true. And today there was talk about regional music, hip hop. So what the West is sonically, musically, what the South is, what the East is. Everybody get back into your musical cultural bag of music that represents where you're from regionally. That's one thing. I seen someone mention ASAP Rocky in the chat too, but I also recognize another thing. This era is the era of the internet. So sonically, the music doesn't just live on the coast now, because you get on the internet and you see or you hear music from everywhere. So the two things are happening at once. So there's the regional aspect, the West Coast standing up, doing what they do in this battle. But I was talking about, you know, they not like us. You know what I mean? So there's a lot there's double and triple meanings to what's going on. If people already know that, then I don't got to go all deep into it. I'll just making sure that everybody know that.
Well, I don't know that, so I want to get some clarification. So let me get to the super chats real quick, and then I want you to explain what they means and what us means, and maybe you can explain it to everybody. Matt Max with the super chat says, ASAP Rocky back for real. Hip hop out again. Okay. And you know what? Shout out to ASAP Rocky. I ain't like I thought the Drake this was kind of corny, but I get it. You know, he had a situation with his wife or his children's mother. So I feel like, there was some animosity there, whatever. But I always thought Rocky was the next generation. If you look back at his first album, Long Live ASAP, you had Goldie, you had Fashion Killer was on there, you had Problem. Then you had One Train. I thought he got off on One Train. Kendrick was on that record as well. But you had Yellow Wolf, you had Joey Badass, you had my man closed it out. Big Crit closed it out.
What do you mean? What that means? Go ahead.
I said Big Crit closed it out. So I liked ASAP Rocky. He just didn't keep it up. I thought he was going to be the next one, but he just didn't have it. Mad Master the Super Chat says both Rakims dropping. That is true. Mad Max again. What
Max means? Like ASAP Rock got new music out right now?
He just announced he's got a new album coming out on August. He's been working at it. He's been working on it. He shot the visuals for it. It's coming out. It is what it is. Matt Max the Super Chat again says he had the white girl at the video. What that mean? Mad Max again with the super chat says, Ron, I would be worried about the West Coast, bro. All right. So yeah, so there we are. I mean,
Worried
yeah.
about the we
So let's
here,
take
man.
it. Let's take it in order. Let's take it in order, right? So the West Coast, I think, has the spotlight on him due to Kendrick. I mean, everybody is anointing him the king. I mean, Game came out and put out a video kind of questioning why people were asking him why he wasn't at the event. Snoop Dogg came out and said, that Kendrick is the king. I'm hoping that this momentum from the video, from the pop out, I hope this carries on to a new album. If it doesn't, then I'll be greatly disappointed. I think it's time to put out a new album. I think you should be in war mode. You should be in album mode. And you really can't tell an artist, and I hate to sound hypocritical on this. I never want to tell an artist how they should feel artistically and how they should move in their space. But right now, he should be inspired. I would think an artist, any artist, take Kendrick out of it, would be inspired by seeing, the culture come together in such a way that a new album should be forthcoming. And in the way that technology is right now, it shouldn't take long for him to turn around a new album. But I digress. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So I want to go back to you, Leroy.
We can get into that, because there's a lot of talk about that, and I don't believe every artist is supposed to drop music just whenever they're inspired. I think some people have to process what's going on and then articulate that later in music in a different time. We're talking about A$AP Rocky. A$AP Rocky is not supposed to drop music all the time because his music is just like his fashion game represents what the music is, and I'm not saying whether you like his fashion or not, but it's certain articles of clothing only come out once, and that's it. So his music is the same. Like his music hits once, that's it. When he comes back around, that sound will hit once, and that's it. He doesn't come all the time. Kendrick is the same way. He hits once, and that's it. You know what I mean? So give him time to process what's going on. I hear everybody saying with the music, but let's not make culture microwavable to where you're just spinning it out just because you're there. You know what I mean? But I understand people want music, but he gave you 4 songs on Drake with all the different styles you could do embedded in the record. He performed them live. So come on now, like let this man cook. People are like they don't like Mr. Morale. Mr. Morale did what it's supposed to do. We're talking about the West Coast, right? So I'm speaking for the West Coast in the sense that Mr. Morale did what it was supposed to do out here. Are people always playing it? No, because again, his album is an experience you listen to once. We're used to listening to things over and over and over because we're from that era. A big thing happened from that era to this era called the internet. When the internet comes around, it's just like AI when it's here now. It's a paradigm shift. Rakim said that in his song too. But Kendrick, let him cook. You know what I mean? His music it's not just thrown out there every time an event happens. And he is working though. He's giving you what y'all asked for. He's barring up,
Yeah. I stand corrected. I do. Yeah, Nipsey was putting in work on the West Coast. YG, you had Mustard, you had Schoolboy, you had those dudes out there representing the West Coast. You had my man. What's my man?
Down talking about Nipsey last time I was on the show.
Who was?
Nipsey is overrated, or Nipsey he wasn't this or that. Let me explain something to everybody out there, right? West Coast is very it's just like where you're from. I'm sure where everybody you're from, it's not just the music, it's also the person delivering the music and how people take that person, right? So again, whether you like his music or don't like his music, what he did on his piece of the culture was do something in business. He came in and kind of merged the two worlds. A smart store, which was the Marathon store, is technology and music put together, right? He also did the branding, the Marathon branding period. You have just the Marathon, the shirts with the fat burger. That's another step. He had the $100 mixtape. That's another step. So everybody plays their role in their own capacity. It's not one is better than the other, but his gift was a business gift. And I also want to talk about that because Jay-Z's name is being mentioned, but just the concept period that if you do business in music, that somehow you don't love the music as much. There is no rapper that's not a businessman because that doesn't make sense. You know, all the rappers care about business because they gotta eat, they gotta live. So every rapper you know cares about business. What Kendrick is doing is taking the music, the business, and then turning it into artivism, which is taking a step forward with his music artistically. So that is business and the culture merging together on his part. Go ahead, Ron. You know what I
No,
mean?
no. Somebody in the chat said I forgot the female rap renaissance in New York City. Talking about Scarlett, you talking about Nicki, talking about Ice Spice, you talking about all those females in New York that popped out. So no, we didn't forget them. But I'm just saying right now the spotlight's on the West. Matt Max with the super chat says the West don't have a sound to take over the South. Matt Max, you have to hop on and elaborate. But let me go back to you real quick, Leroy Green. You said something else, that this is bigger. This moment is bigger than music. This moment is bigger than the beef and the battle. You're saying that it's about they and us. What do you mean by that? Expound on that.
So I'm going to speak on multiple layers, which everyone's going to have to get used to me doing that, right? Because that I naturally do that, right? But here we go, right? So it's two levels to this. We've been talking about culture vulturing, right? Culture vulture. So they not like us. So one element of this is who is the culture and who is the vulture.
Who is
So
they?
who is the they, which would make them the vulture of the culture. So we need some discernment about who we put as the vulture. And I'm not telling people on who to say is for the culture or who to say is for the vulture. That's for you. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that's part of the story, right? There's a narrative involved. Kendrick is a conceptual artist who raps in a way where it's a narrative. So if this was a story and he's saying they are not like us, giving the belief system that's in his music, there's two clear groups here, right? But again, I'm not just going to bag on the culture vulturism. I'm talking about the discernment of who is what and the levels to this battle. So when I say it's bigger than just the music, Drake wanted to battle or Kendrick wanted to battle. The battle was on, but not only is Kendrick rising to the occasion of the battle, but he recognizes the bigger picture, right? This over commercialization of music, of where you're just pumping out anything as long as it fits the metric of the digital footprint and metric of what the sound, the data is showing, right? Kendrick is saying that is not the only way to create music. You know what I mean? So that's also it's the culture versus the vulture. So that's all, and I'm sure everybody knows that. I'm sure y'all know that, right?
Well, we'll see. We'll have some folks calling a little bit later. But right now, you had the pop out. You won the battle. You just shot the video. Had all of Compton out for "They Not Like Us" music video. I just think it's time, and I think there's no way around it, Leroy. I think we might disagree on this one. He's got to drop an album. I just think you have to seize on the moment. Hip hop's always been about moments. You got the moment, you grab it, you see. That's what hip hop's been about. Your way
Right.
is ebbs and flows in this thing, right? No GOAT
I'm not mad
has
at
ever
you.
no GOAT has ever had the game by the throat and let it go and just didn't drop any music. Let's go back to 1998, 97. You had It's Dark and Hell Is Hot, DMX came out. And then at the end of the year, in December, Flesh on My Flesh, Blood on My Blood came out. You know what I'm saying? You had the game on lock. I think it was years when Jay came out twice. I forgot the year he dropped 2 albums in a year. When you got the game in a chokehold like Kendrick does, I mean, he's all eyes on him right now.
When Jay was doing it, he had the luxury of being the boss of his own company. Meaning, if I'm a founder of my own company, I just do what I want to do. And I don't think there's many enemies. There are enemies out there for Jay, but the significant one would be Nas. Not to say someone's insignificant other, but that was his only real foe. Everything else was smooth sailing. Kendrick is fighting the same kind of battle Nipsey was fighting. If we're talking about culture vulturism, Jay was also fighting that battle, but fighting it as a boss. So he's using a boss mentality. Kendrick is using an artistic mentality. Jay was using that as well. But an album though, I get it, but to articulate what Kendrick does, it's not just some quick thing all the time. You know what I mean? Because like I'm talking about, there's a bunch of double meanings in this battle. To put that in music form, it may take some time. But I hear you though. I hear you.
I mean, you got to seize the opportunity. I think if the only thing we get out of this is just a music video, then I think we have a problem.
He gave you the whole concert. He gave y'all the whole which was a moment. You know what I mean? Trying to strike a chord, and it's probably A minor. You know, that will live on forever in that one bar. Where I'm also going to talk about the technicians. I'm hearing bar work out there, a lot of it, and I'm happy about that, man. I'm happy about that. So, but Kendrick, but I hear you though. Maybe he will go in the lab and just drop something. But also, I just want to make the point that if you don't like something, it's okay, because not every artist is for you to like every time you hear them, right? So with Mr. Morale, I heard a lot of, well, we don't like this, we don't, but that's okay to not like something. I don't know how you're upset if you don't like something. You can still listen. You can still listen to something you don't like, right? There's like 20 songs on there. You mean to tell me not a song moved you at all? You know, it's like, come on, y'all. Come on, like, let's be real, man. So,
I understand what you're saying, Leroy. I do, but I think it's high time, man. That's what my grandma used to say back in the woods of South Carolina. She's like, Ronnie, it's high time you get on and do what you got to do, man. It's time, man. You got the city is lit. Let's go, man. And hopefully we get more songs that sound like, in the vein of when Mustard gets off on a few. Right. Maybe get the Alchemist on a few joints. I hope he put all the records on there. I mean, he got 4 or 5 records already. 4 records already. 616 in LA. They Not Like Us. He might not put he's not gonna put Meet the Grams on there. So he's just say you got 3 records, right? Euphoria, 616 in LA. And then you got They Not Like Us. Put about 8 or 9 more songs. You good.
Yeah, I hear. I think, and I don't want to use the word above or beyond or past, but I think Kendrick is a bit different from just dropping music for the sake of dropping it. But I do hear your argument that the timing of now would be serious timing. That would be a moment for sure. So I hear that.
It is what it is, man. But so other artists dropped on Friday. My man Juelz Santana, Jadakiss dropped the joint. Parties and Bullshit.
Santana.
What did you think about the record?
Santana Bandana. I listened to it about 2 times. Granted, you guys, hey, I'm sorry, you guys, like 100 songs came out in the last, 48 hours. So I listened to it twice, and I thought it was dope. Jadakiss, of course, he's gonna have the dope verse, and I am happy to see Juelz. I'm not gonna lie about that, because Juelz back in the day, I rocked with Juelz. He came out on the Diplomatic album, fire. His own solo work, fire. It's just the sound of it. He has a particular sound, a particular delivery. So I always rock with him. You know what I mean? So I'm glad to see he's back. And some people, and again, he always gets hit with the where is your music? Again, some people are able to pump out music all the time. Some people take spaces. Juelz takes his time. He takes spaces, but I'm happy to see him, and I like the song.
Nah, man, Max, the record was cool. It was like a throwback joint. It took me back to 2002, 2003. I mean, Jadakiss' verse was fire. It was good seeing Juelz back in his element, talking that talk. That's what I like. I hate to show my bias on this pod because I'm objective. I like to call it straight, but that's the type of hip hop I like, man. I like that talk, that New York talk. I see Jarv in the chat. Shout out to Jarv, whatever. That New York talk. You know what I'm saying? With Juelz, we ain't heard that in a while. And Juelz was always good at that. That Dipset, the whole Dipset crew, they had their own type of slang, their own type of movement. That's what we liked about Jim, Capo, Hell Rel, you know what I'm saying? Hell Rel, Cam. and Juelz, man. So it was good seeing, the Dipset, with a dope record. Jadakiss's verse was crazy as always. So it was good seeing that. And then after that, my man hit me, Ronve. He was like, "Yo, Rakim drop with Master Killer and Corrupt," and that's the weekend rhyme. You look at the thumbnail, we picked that one for that. But it was another dope record. These OGs are continuously, you got Pete Rock and Common, you got Nas and Primo, you got Busta put out an album on Black Friday. I didn't really particularly like the joint, but it was cool. You got well, Busta's album came out November last year. The Blockbuster joint. Right. Then you got 3 for 3 with Tryin', Wise Up, and Dreamin' with Pete Rock and Calm. Then you got now Jadakiss, Styles P's coming back out. The OGs, it's a renaissance right now. It's a renaissance right now.
I used the word renaissance earlier today, but I'm inspired. I want to rhyme over the Common beat right now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm inspired, is what I'm saying. But no, I agree with that. Jadakiss did his thing. Juelz did his thing. Fire. Rakim though, yes, that's what we grew up on. It had the 3 verses. It got Corrupt. It got Master Killer. Master Killer, how he's just like calmly and easily just walking through the beat. You know what I mean? With it's poetic samurai-ness. You know what I mean? Of just greatness. And that's the sound that we grew up on, right? So I like that sound. That's our thing. If the youth can't really hear what I'm hearing, that's because of the generational gap that is there. You know what I mean? And we got to address that in a certain way. But I love the Rakim record. If he did the beat, which I think he did, super dope. Shout out Professor M80. He's in the video. But fire, man. Fire. I like it. Looking forward to the album, man.
I thought Rakim got off on it. I thought it was cool. I thought Corrupt got off on it. I thought it was a good record. Man. Yeah. Somebody said, people in the chat saying the Rakim record was trash. Oh, come on, T2 Judgment Day. Trying wasn't trash, man. That record was cool. It's not. It didn't even make. Now it didn't make the album on the official track list of the Auditorium Volume 1. So maybe they didn't like it. But I thought Trying was a good record. I thought Trying was my favorite record out of the ones that came out. Then I thought Dreamin', and then maybe Wise Up third. But it is what it is, man.
You're talking about the songs.
Yeah.
No, again, like we are calling stuff trash because we've had the privilege to live another 30 years after the foundational sound we grew up on. So when we hear music now, we are balancing that against everything we've heard versus this foundational style. So it's not, but I like that foundational style. You know what I mean? And in its core essence. If you don't, that's okay. You know what I mean? And I understand because, people were. I seen there was in the community. It's had a thing against Tupac and Kendrick being compared to each other, and I was like, stylistically though, musically is apples to oranges. You know what I mean? So it's like, and that's because of the time difference between then and now. Whether people want to admit it or not, you've heard another 1,000 albums, so your ears are doing other stuff. So that plays a lot into what a Common does or a Rakim. We'll say a Rakim, not a Common. We'll say what a Rakim does. Rakim, he gives you that foundational purest sound, which is it's no cut on it. It's not stepped on. You know what I mean? So it is what it is.
Right. I was nervous about the Rakim project, right? But I'm excited about it. And some people, the record's not everybody's cup of tea. I understand that, but I thought it was what it was. I wish that Rakim would have probably had a better beat for his first single. I wish he would have hooked up with Primo like he did When I Be on the Mic. I thought that's one of my favorite Rakim solo songs, right? When I Be on the Mic, it's just crazy. That's one of my favorite Primo beats in the last 15, 20 years or so. Right. I wish he would have came out like that, but he didn't. But I'm excited for the album. I'm more so excited about this. I'm not a, like I said, it's the nostalgia. Take me down a memory lane. You know what I'm saying? With the, the swag they had back in the day. When we was rocking back in 2002, the Dipset Rockefeller era. Took me back to that Juelz, Santana, and Jadakiss record. Takes me back to that time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm hopefully Juelz can. And actually, that I think that Lil Wayne and Juelz mixtape that came out. There was a mixtape. Yeah, that was a very, 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 very dope record. Slept on record.
Classic. That was a fire mixtape. They went crazy. You know what I mean? On I Can't Feel My Face. But if y'all want that raw, it's raw music out here. If the Rakim didn't do it for you, RJ Payne, Hellraiser is out here. You know what I mean? There's that Saha freestyle with the Flash, Mr. EGOT. I think that's the best performative freestyle that I've seen all year, and the bars are eloquently executed in the dopest way they could be executed. You know what I mean? I saw a video for Tri-State Planet Asia, Do-Rag Dynasty for No Look Pass, bar work. Mickey Fax, he got a new song, Fearless, and he's on the Beatminer's new album too, bar work. So if it's about bar work, that's out here too. That's outside. That's outside for y'all. So Soulmatic said the RJ Payne album was cool. Again, RJ Payne it's not what you're used to listening to. It's not your normal hip hop, right? It's chainsaw. It's give you what you came for. Surgery with a chainsaw. What DMX say? It's running a chainsaw through your face music, right? That's what RJ Payne is. So it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. But for those that are into that, Hellraiser, come on, it gets dark.
It gets dark. Max with the super chat says, laughing my ass off. Yeah, who made the comparison, Ron, between Pac and Dot? Well, you know what? I will say it wasn't me. For the ones that saw the poll that was put up, it wasn't me. It wasn't Leroy. We'll let the person. Well, it wasn't us. So it was another admin, another mod that put that poll out. I didn't. The question for me, I wouldn't have put that question out there. But we'll let whoever put the question up speak to that a little bit later.
I'm not the question. I just want everybody to recognize that the sound of the music is completely different. That's all I'm saying. You have Tupac and you have Kendrick Lamar. I'm not telling people who to like better, or I'm not telling people what to think. All I'm saying is you have this sound. Tupac has a sound. Kendrick has a sound. They're completely different. Now, as long as we recognize that these are not the same sounds, then you could do all the arguing you want to do. You know what I mean?
Right. Matt Max with other super chat says Kendrick be cosplaying Pac, and we comparing them. Look, I'm not comparing anybody. You know what I'm saying? I don't think, we put out a poll yesterday. It wasn't, us on this podcast, but I wouldn't compare the two. I think it's a generational angle that you can play here, right? Looking at the generations, if you want to talk about I guess the better question would be who had more impact in their era. Is it Pac or is it Kendrick? That's another question you can ask. You can ask who has the better catalog at this point in their career. That's a better, question you can ask. But I think the question was, who's the better MC? We all have our different tastes. You've asked somebody this. You asked my daughter, who's more aligned to this generation. She might say Kendrick. I'm from my generation. I'm gonna say Pac. But that's just me. That's just me. But I don't know. I think a lot of people had questions about the question. But again, we can dive into that on Monday and kind of tomorrow's show and kind of unpack it.
Let me just make the point though that in Tupac's era, when we came home from school or whatever, and we turned on the TV, right? We're watching MTV or BET or whatever. We don't have a choice in what songs we are seeing or hearing. The station gave us those choices. When we had physical copies of Tupac's albums, we did not have a choice on if we wanted to hear the album before it came out, or if we had to wait for the physical copy and get it that way, right? Now Kendrick's era is everybody's walking around on the phone and they get 100 albums. More albums come out in probably 3 years now than the entire 90s era. You know what I mean? So that does play a part in how you're hearing and consuming the music. You know, it just does. It just does. It's the internet is a paradigm shift, and that's what makes Kendrick's job different. It's not better or worse or harder or whatever. It's different. That's all I'm saying. You know.
Right. So yeah, I don't know. It's a question that's going to be asked. I think the reason why the question was asked because a lot of mainstream publications. Oh, I'm sorry. A lot of mainstream publications. I think the reason why the question was asked because a lot of mainstream publications pointed out that Kendrick kind of channeled Pac in the show, kind of wore a similar outfit. You know, the red and the denim. You know, and then he referenced, he changed the lyrics to Euphoria and said, you know, give me Pac's ring back. So I think that's where the question came from. Some people had a problem with the question, but it is what it is. Naturally, over time, you're going to have these questions being asked. Who was the better MC? Billboard had Kendrick 2 of all time. You know, I disagree with that, but there's people out there that agree. And I saw some people in you know, I think overwhelmingly on Facebook, YouTube. I didn't check the X poll, the Twitter poll. I believe that Pac won all the polls. I got to go back and check, but
of course,
you know,
but again, y'all, when people are making the impact argument, well, yes, in that era, the albums you were hearing were the first albums of those kinds to ever exist. So the impact you're feeling is getting the first of a particular sound, right? The sound of Pac and the producers that he chose to work with creates a particular sound. That was the first of its sound that you probably have ever heard. It was right around the corner after Ice Cube, which Ice Cube introduced a lot of the sounds that you heard. Not to say they're the same, but then Pac comes in. But what I'm saying, in this era of the early 90s, it was the first that you ever heard of this sound like that. So yeah, it impacts you harder. When you're 25 and you come into contact with Kendrick Lamar, you've heard 1,000 albums in between that time. Or maybe I shouldn't use the word 1,000 now because people will be like, no, I only heard 725. But no, but you've heard a lot of albums. But so by the time you're 25 and you meet Kendrick Lamar, the impact is not the same as when you were 10 and you came into contact with Tupac. You know?
Right. I'm gonna open up the phone lines for a second. So if you want to jump in and chat, Leroy, hold it down for about 5 minutes. I know you have a couple other topics you want to talk to. I gotta do the hip hop dad thing and order some DoorDash real quick. So hold it down. You can answer some questions, some things that pop up in the chat. Answer those and give me about 5 minutes. I'll be right back.
No, do your thing, Cook. If y'all want to ask me anything specific, Cook, man. But it's the Beat Miners' new album, Stifled Creativity, fire. RJ Payne, Hellraiser, fire. Yeah, we talked about the Rakim. Euro Droog, the movie. Yasin Bey on that. Method Man on that. The music on that. Conductor did his thing on that. Madlib did his thing on that. Fire. So we're going to talk about that too. I know there was concern about the Fat Joe Culture Award too. So when we talk about cultures and vultures, right? Someone like Euro Droog, who is not black but explains his love for hip hop and explains it in a story form, how he came from another country and immersed himself in the culture, learned English. See, we have to separate the culture from the vulture because some of these are official tissue rappers. When we talk G-Eazy, he dropped the Freak Show album. Again, now people can feel however they want to feel about G-Eazy, but the art of picking the right beat with the right hook and putting the right flow with the verses, that's an art as well. You know, I see you, I see you, T2. You know, you don't want no smoke with me. Promise you. You know what I mean? But what else do we get into? So that's there. The new Clipse album. I do hope the Clipse put something together, which is a dope, and that'll be Malice and Pusha going back and forth with their perspectives now. That should be fire. And they do get into some personal stuff on Birds Don't Sing. That was dope. You know what I mean? So where y'all want to go with it, man? Saha's freestyle. I talked about performative arts before. So he's rapping that as a character he created, Mr. EGOT, right? Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony, right? So just delivering that in a way where it looks a particular way. So now back to the Kendrick thing, there was performance and there's artivism attached to what he's doing. So I encourage the rappers to go back into their creative bag as far as performing and realizing that when you do have something like a year old Drew with his project movie, we could really make movies, y'all. Like people like, where are you at with your music? I've been training for ghostwriting, man. But one thing about it is writing as a character in a film, right? We all know the new Blade movie is coming out. There are songs connected to that. People got to write those, right? So writing in a way where it connects with movies and it has a story woven into it or a narrative or a particular perspective. I want to see rap albums dropping in the movie theater. You know what I mean? I want when the album comes out, it not just hits the all the internets, you know what I mean, but it hits the movie theater. So we got to write in that way. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of dope music out right now, just like dumb retarded just bars everywhere. So I like it, man. You know what I mean? What we doing? And y'all go check out Mickey Fax's songs Fearless too. His new song Fearless and the song he got on the Beat Miners album. Featuring C Red too. She fire. I co-sign her as a rapper any day.
Yeah, we got LT in here, man. LT, what's good, brother? You and Leroy cook up for a second. What's going on? What's on your mind tonight?
What it do?
Uh-oh. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep. What's up, my boy?
What's going on, Leroy? Yes, sir. Just tapping in, BSF, God Life, all of that. Bless y'all. Just, man, cooking up a little bit. He was speaking about, like, Leroy was talking about writing and ghost writing and films and writing for that. And just on that point, real quick, that's how I got my name. Not to say from films or anything, but just, and not even ghost writing for any major artists, but a lot of songs with hooks and these aspiring talent and just different genres with gospel and hip hop, pop. I do a lot of writing as well for clients that I deal with. Not any major artists, but aspiring. Got a few hundreds of thousands of streams on a lot of projects. So that's one thing I can relate to as far as the technical, the writing side, Ron, and all of that. But just back to the Tupac and Kendrick aspect.
I need to get with you.
Hey, Ron, I hit your email. I hit you up, Ron. I don't know if you had got that when I sent that. I don't know if you can hear me, but definitely connect with me, Leroy, or somebody.
I got you. I got the email. I'm gonna hit you. It's on my list to do this week, brother. I'm gonna hit you back this week.
Okay, I got you. But not just even furthermore. Again, like I said, working on some stuff coming out. I know Mike D. The style, the stilo with the pen game and with the material that I've put out and produced, co-produce, executive produce. So got something new coming up too, and it's gonna be fire for y'all. Just something for the summer, something for the it's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of opinions, a lot of comments. But the aspect is, man,
Benny has no freestyle.
Man, appreciate that.
I hear it, man, and I've always liked Benny, man, because it's a certain, I know when someone knows what they're talking about and how he's delivering it, and he goes into the mind state of how I felt when I did certain things or when I was living how I was living, what my mind was doing. That's a skill. I recognize that. So Benny, I'm not on what anyone else got to say about Benny, but I'm always rock with Benny because I hear that
the family. Music. Stay down with the family, BSF, drum work, Conway as well, Stove, all of these guys, man. We doing a lot. Fuego Bass, of course. I don't know how deep y'all on. He was on here before, according to hip hop, back with the old, Coop and everybody. But he got a new joint with OT the Real. That's a fire joint. Fuego Bass, OT the Real. We just put that one out. Salute, promoting for that one. But the going forward, man, that Tupac. Well, Leroy, one thing too. To go back to a few shows ago, I remember you mentioned about like artists about the content, what they rap about. Like, again, like with Benny, he's more so speaking on his past life or what he's been through, not necessarily of course he speaks on, what he's doing now, but more so people like to hear that talk about the past life, the streets, how he made it through, came up, etc. And I know you mentioned that, you know, a lot of rappers should start considering speaking about what they're living now, you know, kind of like what Jay-Z, you know, he did that on Kingdom Come, and it kind of like turned off, it kind of split the fan base in half. I liked it. But it was like people couldn't relate to, you know, they were like, man, I don't know what the Louvre Museum is. I don't know what a 745 jet. I never, you know, but I understood it because it's his life, you know, and I think that's real. You should rap about, but it's like, I don't think, like, as far as marketability and as far as popularity, you know, I don't think, Leroy, that it would go well for a lot of these artists. How do you feel about that?
I feel like if you're right in that sense, right? If people are showing a more diverse side or a more contemplative side, or the music speaks to where they're at now and it doesn't go well, I think that there were some it's hard at the beginning, right? The car is not going at top speed just right off the line. You know what I mean? So it may be some getting used to with that. But after a while, see, the audience is going to start living the experiences that are in those raps, that where someone is talking about where they're at now, because the listeners are they grew up with us too, and they're still listening. So now, when someone makes that kind of music, the audience is living that too, like the perspective of, you know, the dichotomy between, you know, you're outside with the dudes and the fellas, then you go home with the family, and then you go to work, then you go to church, then you go you know, maybe you coach a little league team or something. But see, all these different things are a different side of your character, a different side of your personality. You know what I mean? And the more rappers start showing that, it'll start to become more understood.
Did you think? I mean, did you think the fans stuck with? Because that it seemed like that split the Jay, and I know you're a big fan, and me too. You know, I felt like Jay growing up back in North Carolina, he was like the symbol of hope. You know, he was. So I get you, Leroy. I get exactly, like, his music was the theme song to, okay, coming from the projects, dirty, dusty, not having anything, to being a black entrepreneur mogul, multi-platinum. But it just seemed like in Kingdom Come and onward, when he came back from retirement, people couldn't really relate as they used to. Now, I liked I loved it because it was Jay, and it was still fire, and he was still everything he embodied. But it was like, they did, and then 444 and really Kingdom, Holy Grail, Magna Carta, people felt like they couldn't relate anymore. So do you think that the people followed that? Because like you said, we grew up, but still people couldn't relate to his level.
And no, and I do understand that too, because there is a level of relatability, and for someone like Jay, he is far removed from a lot of what people can relate to, right? But I do think that artists, we have to start showing multiple sides and start talking about what you're living now. And it's all right to still go in the streets and talk about the streets, because you're seeing it from a hindsight view, which gives you the 2020 vision, to where you're going to explain it a lot better anyway. So we could still go street. That's not a problem. You know what I mean? But I think we should start going there and talking about, it's a balance to everything. Like a lot of the most respected street guys, you would know that they have a balance, right? Because they didn't just get respect just from slamming a hammer on the block every day. That, you know, that's not how they got the, you know, they had to use a little bit more intelligence than to just run rapid. You know what I mean? So show that, you know.
And I think, man, us as fans, and I know Ron may want to speak about something, but just us as fans, then I think we gotta kind of grow up like that. I think that's kind of the problem. Like the listener, we don't give the artist room to grow. Like even with Benny, you know, certain fans, it's crazy. Like we want them to do the same thing. But then when we speak about, when they do that, we complain, oh, they didn't grow. It sounds the same. The sound is getting stale and boring. So I think the listener, man, we gotta like step up our palate. Like I don't know what it is with the listener, but that's just them. You know, that's the fan.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, as a culture, we always want to make sure we protect the culture at all costs, and we are very protective of it. We got an interview with Tariq Nasheed dropping next week. We had some technical difficulties with the one that came out earlier, but one thing he said in the interview is like, you want to make sure you have grassroots supports. We don't want to get so detached from the base that made us that we don't have that that grassroots support, because the people you might get rejected from them people, them places you trying to get into, like the Louis Vuitton fashion, the Demna, the Balenciaga fashion houses, and they can shut you out, remove all that. The only thing you're gonna have left is the streets and the people that kind of were on your ascent. And I know Jay has put in his dues since 88, 89, running with Jazz. He's done the tunnel a million times. I remember he did the radio circuits, the Hot 97. He did all the big radio shows when radio shows were a thing. He did the tours, and he branched out and he did the Coldplay thing. He did the U2 thing. He did the Justin Timberlake thing. He did the Eminem thing. He did the shows and tours with his wife. And then he aspired his approach to the game changed, right? He became looking at himself more of as an artist and trying to get into those circles. But here's the point. I do see where the hip hop community and the culture says, hey, you want to be rooted in the grassroots. Because if you look at what's going on now, A$AP Rocky announced his new album's coming out at a Paris fashion show.
Wow.
And that's all the descendants of Jay, right? You look at what the Clipse are doing with Pharrell with Louis Vuitton. They just debuted their new record, Birds Don't Sing, at a Louis walking the runway. You know what I'm saying? We got the pictures right here. So but to the Clipse point, and let's just talk on the Clipse. Their music has still remained a little bit grounded, where you see Pusha T at these fashion shows, you see him with the Louis Vuitton joints, you know what I'm saying? But it's more so he's still got that element of the culture still in its back pocket, where they don't critique or criticize as much when he makes those moves and debuts songs on Paris one ways and clothes that maybe this is fresh. I wouldn't rock none of this, but that blue joint is kind of fresh.
Ron, let me ask you a question, both of y'all, but Ron first. Ron, so why do you think Jay gets so much criticism when he does that? Like the Tom Brady show, they said he performed there, Roger Kraft, and they kind of coming at him with that. Why does Jay get so much criticism for doing these things that others are doing? Is it the flow off? Is it like what is it? Why does Jay get so much?
Well, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. That's a good question. I think if he had the music, he hasn't made a hot album in a very long time. So I think that lends to it, right? Magna Carta wasn't really well received. So that kind of lends to some of the criticism. 444, even though I thought it was a mature conceptual record that kind of talked about his life, where he is at the time. I think he was 7 years ago. So he was like 48, 40. Was he 55 now? So I think that he was about 48 when that album came out. So it showed him where he was in his family life, and it was a different type of record with No ID and him kind of put together. But I think the music is really, the criticism. The records he had with DJ Khaled didn't resonate like that. God Did was good. He had a verse on with Meek Mill. The last Jay-Z verse, I think, was Drug Dealers Anonymous, was another Jay-Z verse that kind of had some traction. And then you had the one with Meek Mill was What's Beef, or What's Free. You know what I'm saying? What's Free. That one had some traction. God Did have some traction. I just think that the music is not there right now. And that's the reason why, he had a record called Tom Ford on Magna Carta, right? So it's kind of detaching him from the element per se. So I think that's why he's getting a criticism. If he had more music and he had better music, I think he would kind of withstand some of that, the shrapnel that's coming from the community. And also, I think if you would have done something at Hip Hop 50, whether it be like an event, if you would have curated like a Hip Hop 50 Rockefeller showcase, a Def Jam showcase, I think that would have inoculated him from the criticism. That's just my opinion.
I think we have a disdain for the black businessman rapper, right? Who we say, you put business before music. Anybody who has ever loved something, right? If you love it, you have to put work behind it to make it work, correct? So Jay put work behind it to get where he's at. He started the Rockefeller office. He put his family in there to run, his sisters in there, his cousins in there to run that early office. That's putting faith behind your work and actually doing the work. Yes, he had help. Every artist had help, but I just want to say that. I think we have a disdain for and also a disdain for the black businessman rapper, but I do think we need more of that insight. Also, to Jay's fault, I think when you're stunting on people all the time, they could have they feel a way about that because you're waving money in people's faces in a way to where they don't like that. They're uncomfortable with it, right? And that's his younger days. He came out in the bad boy era, where in the Cash Money era, where it kind of was about throwing like waving money. We don't have to like it, but what I'm saying is at that particular time, that's what the culture was doing, right? So it's marketing. I think Jay, if he had marketed 444 like this is not the street album, this is a response to my wife. Let the fans know that, and then when they hear it, they'll hear it different, right? So those are two things. The marketing, I think we have a disdain for the business, which we need to get over. But then there's a third element, right? The reason why this is necessary, and this may be on a tangent, but I'm calling for the rappers and the listeners to step up to the highest standard, because I respect and value your part in this culture that much. Why do I say that? Is because I believe only we can do it. Hip hop culture, when I say we. So when the artist, I'm asking you to expand on one example. If I'm talking to a bunch of teenagers, I straight up let them know I can't be cool to you guys because I'm too much older than you to be cool. My job is to not be cool to you, but to show you a way or give you some advice or give you a perspective you could see through different angles, right? So Jay's job is not to be cool anymore, y'all. But I do think I have to call all the artists to do that, to expand your narrative and how you deliver, because this is the third element I'm gonna drop on y'all. We're in the era of AI. AI is learning the behaviors of humans. Now, people have a negative thought in their mind when they think about that. But what are we going to program this AI to do? It could either do the worst of the worst, or it can do the greatest of the good. And that's because the people first would have to aspire to be the greater of the good, because the AI is learning behavioral patterns. So this is why I'm asking the artists to put out a more diversified message. So now when they hear the street music, it's not just blind street music. It's these are the surrounding circumstances that created the individual you're hearing. And these are the circumstances and the forces of gravity that I'm working with. You know what I mean? Now, and go ahead.
No. What is? I want to ask you a question. I had you and Ron, but you, since we on here, what is Jay-Z? I want to do this too and shake the show up, because I want to speak on something about Jay that we don't speak on too. But I got a question. What is Jay's your least favorite Jay album, or the album you think like the worst? I hate to use the word worst, but do you think he has a worse album? And what is your least favorite Jay album, you personally?
Now the worst. So again, but I understand the mission. So if I say something like Volume 2, Volume 3, and I'm using the word worst, right? People are gonna say, well, that means you think it's terrible, right? But I understand the mission. I understand why Volume 2 sounds the way it sounds and why it moved 5 million. So I understand the mission. But that's why I didn't want to say like the worst, but your least favorite. Because do you think Volume 2 is so you don't like, let me say it this way, you like Magna Carta Holy Grail better than Volume 2? I think now this is gonna rub people the wrong way. I think Magna Carta Holy Grail is a dope album. I think it's a dope album. But again, I'm going to the concept behind that album is what we're talking about. Everything we're talking about in this conversation is what Jay is rapping about on that album. Now, people would look at it as, well, he made Tom Ford. He's honoring this white guy's clothing brand, right? But again, it's how you perceive things. If that is negative for you, well, then it's negative for you. If you see that our voice, when we say a person's name, Tom Ford, it can put power behind it can put power behind a brand, right? Now Jay, he didn't just say his name, you know what I mean? But and Jay, he went with Samsung, right? And people looked at that as a move of him leaning on tech or the phone company because he's unsure about the music. again, if you look at it as negative, it can be negative, but there's also the positive too, to where the power of our music is so great to where it can partner with brands, with phones, with tech companies, and it can move like that because it's not a bad thing. It's because as artists, in hip hop, we're just that awesome. Not everything is negative. Sometimes you gotta big up yourself. I'm talking about hip hop in general. Sometimes we gotta big up ourselves. Like, wait a second, maybe we're just awesome. You know what I'm saying? And
Ron, maybe Leroy, let me say this real fast. Maybe like, cause I'm always out like a bigger thinker than just what it looks like kind of like Leroy, like I think outside the box. I'm not just like, hey, whatever the people say I go with. I wouldn't be where I'm at if I did that. We all individual, but I see a lot of people in the chat, Soulmatic still here, Mad Max, Super Dupe, all of them, a lot of good people. And it's like, is it the fact that Jay with Jay-Z, it's a combination of his personality and some would say like the lack of bars or the lack of quality music mixed in is what makes people feel how they feel about him? Because it's like Jay at this point, he wouldn't need, like, to Leroy's point, it's not like, oh, Jay has to explain himself to anybody, so but we would as a listener, as we grew up on Jay, fans of Jay for lifetime, and we seen kind of like the peak, and some people say, I don't rock with him no more, he's whack now, whatever you may say, but it's like he doesn't feel like he needs to explain the reasoning behind the album. So like Leroy said with Magna Carta Holy Grail, maybe he did it as a whatever, like a marketing piece, maybe he did it as a business move, but Jay didn't explain it that way. So we just listened to it like, oh, we about to get another American Gangster, but not knowing what Jay was thinking or what, and I'm not making excuses, but it's like Jay, that kind of guy. He's like a laid back, reserved. He don't explain. So maybe that's it, man. Maybe we got to look at it a different way. I don't know, Ron, y'all.
Yeah, no, I mean, personality wise, some personalities sometimes are hard for people to like, especially if it's a tough personality, a brash personality, someone who you perceive is looking down on you because they have more money than you, and you perceive them as looking down on you. That's not something you should feel good about, right? But all these different personalities in the game exist for a reason, and these are real people. Just because you may feel that way about Jay does not mean his music doesn't have a conscience to it, because it is conscious to it, right? To make yourself an artist that creates billions of dollars, right? You have to be thinking on multiple levels. So people that are into you all are going to go into business, and we all are in business in some capacity. So it's not emotional when we're thinking in that business capacity. We're thinking about just the business. But the sad part that I do think people miss, and they've missed my whole life of ever discussing Jay since '96, is they do miss the intelligence behind the thought. You know what I mean? Jay is not just reckless with what he's saying and doing. It's very calculated, and we should form our thoughts in a way that's calculated. You know what I mean?
Hey, let me get to the super chat real quick. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, was a written testimony not black enough? And it dropped more recent than Magna Carta. That's a good point. I forgot about a recent testimony with J-Elect. So what are we talking about? Yeah, let me finish let me say this. I don't like to get into that. That's a tricky territory. Like when we play like the culture police and we say what's black enough and what's not black enough. I don't like to play that game. You know what I'm saying? Because as a black man, I don't want nobody questioning my intentions. I don't think we should question anybody else's, especially if we don't know the individuals. But I will say I do understand where a segment of the hip hop community was going, was coming from when you detach yourself from them, and when the culture is celebrating such a milestone of hip hop's birth, Hip Hop 50, and you don't ingratiate yourself in the culture. So I think that's where the criticisms come. It's twofold. Like I was telling LT earlier, I think it's the music, and I really that written testimony is not really thought of like that. I mean, it was a dope project, but we don't really think about it. I forgot about it. And I'm a hip hop head. I didn't even register in my mind. I'm just referencing 444 and Magna Carta. But yeah,
Jay's job as an artist sorry, Ron, but Jay's job is to go outside of what you think. So everybody that's expecting this and that, that's not his job. Is to give you what you want. Is to give you what he thinks you may need. A written testimony. A lot of us, whether we want to admit it or not, a huge percentage of us grew up in a Christian household. There's nothing wrong with that. There's beautiful stories connected to that. When Jay does his record with Jay Electronica, it's a clashing of the ideas of spirituality, but it should be love on both sides. When people are getting upset because someone else has a different view or different perspective, it's Jay Electronica's black man. Jay is a black man. It should be love on both sides, you know what I mean? And we shouldn't let certain ideas or even degrees of blackness separate the bigger picture, right? So that's
Right.
all.
And this may be a controversial take, and I think his album and the frequent tours with Beyonce kind of further detached him from his core audience. I don't think that was best. LT, meet real quick. I don't think that was best for his movement. That the tours and the album, the Carter. I don't think that helped a lot, because you look at the visuals for the Carters. I think they were at the Louvre, they were at the Mona Lisa, they were in Paris. It just, all that kind of creates a snowball effect where people are like, you know what? I ain't really, rocking with Jay like that. You know what I'm
Jay
saying?
detach himself, y'all. He can't. Sometimes you got to leave, and we can't always be like, I got to stay connected to the street. No, you don't. You could leave. You know what I mean? Because you got to experience other parts of life.
What did Ron? What y'all? Let me say this real fast. What did y'all think about? Speaking of that, Jay, like the Beyonce and the tours and all that, because that, I think Ron said this. I think you said Jay on one of the shows that you went to before that. You said Jay kind of carried it or something, like he had the best performance between him and B. I think Ron said that on one of the shows he went to with Jay, a live show. But I wanted to know, because we don't talk about it on here, what did y'all think about that project? That everything is love, but love is everything.
Let's let Mike D. Mike D is on here. Let's let Mike D. Let's let Mike D answer the question.
Yeah, let Mike D answer the question.
Mike, what up, brother?
What's up, brother?
Mike, you on mute, bro?
Everybody hear me? Y'all hear me?
Yeah,
all right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what's going on, brother?
Hey, man, what's good, man? How's everybody doing?
Bless.
We blessed, brother. We blessed, brother. What's good? What you tapping
What
in
we
on the
talking
weekend,
about?
Ron?
No, I like the Everything Is Love project, actually. I think that for me personally, I mean, I don't really go back to the album musically like that, but I will say it's a well produced, well engineered project. What I did like about Everything Is Love is it sounded like the Jay-Z that I've always known, approach-wise, right? Because he sounded confident on there. And I think really, other than the fact that I'm not a huge No ID fan like that when it comes to production, but I think my biggest issue with 444 is Jay just doesn't sound confident on there. And, confidence is one of the biggest things we go to Jay-Z for. Like, I was listening to some of my favorite Jay-Z records the other day. It's him popping his shit, man. And I get it, when you're 50-something, you're not going to be able to pop your imaginary player shit like you did when you were like in your 20s. But on Everything Is Love, he sounded like that confident Jay-Z. So I like that project for that. But we got to be honest, too. Like, for those two superpowers to make a project together, none of those songs really lasted. And none of those songs really still get burned like that, like we would think they would with the two icons that made them,
Right. Hey, Mike, what do you think about a written testimony? Because that was brought up in the super chat by my man Jermaine Johnson. When people question if Jay is black enough, he said, "Yo, was a written testimony not black enough?" And then dropped more recent than Magna Carta. So what are we talking about? What was your thoughts, and why do you don't think a written testimony really resonates like that?
Well, he didn't put his name on a written testimony, and I think that I agree with. Well, listen, I would like more clarity on what they mean about Jay-Z not being black enough. But if they want to say that Jay doesn't really jump out there and get on some, socially conscious stuff when necessary, I could agree with that to a certain extent. But as far as counting the written testimony, I think that's an easy cop out to go to because, again, he didn't even put his name on it. Now, imagine how much more revered a written testimony would be if it was a Jay-Z and Jay Electronica album. His name's not on it. You know what I mean? It just isn't.
But you know his name. That's why it's not on it. His name's not on 444. It just says 444.
It's a Jay-Z album. Cut that out, man. No. So hold on. You're telling me, no. You're telling me when they promoted 444, they wasn't promoting it as a Jay-Z album. They were saying it's his 13th album. Whose 13th album? Come on, man.
You know Jay-Z. So even if his name is no matter what, you know Jay-Z. So his name being on a project, again, this is art too. So Jay's job is to do something that is outside of what you would think he would do. That's his job, in my opinion. As far as him working with Beyonce, everything is love. Love, when you're moving in love, that's probably the highest frequency you can move in. That's a cheat code right there. A lot of these rappers are married, they have wives. Me not hearing their wives in their music doesn't make sense to me. Because the person you see every day doesn't end up in your music. That's another thing. Third, musically, I like doing music with an R&B artist, and Jay because the music changes and it's harder to flow to that. So Jay saw that as a challenge, and it's his wife. So it's a challenge to musically fit because R&B with rap lyrics doesn't always fit, especially with someone as talented as Beyonce.
Do you think that, hold on, I don't mean to interrupt you, but do you think that Jay-Z approaches music with his wife as a musical challenge? Or do you think that's more of adapting or trying to make a hit with one of the biggest artists in the game? Because for me, I don't feel like they've ever really stretched themselves artistically when they work together. I don't feel like, I'll put it this way, Jay-Z adapts to her whenever they work together, and I don't think he really pushes himself artistically when he works with her. I was actually thinking about making a list of like the top 25 rap features, and one of the reasons why this idea was spawned, I was thinking about the fact that I think Method Man is probably the greatest featured rapper ever when I think about it and how he shows up on features. And Shaq just was put Can't Stop the Rain on streaming platforms, and Biggie's feature on there is incredible.
Well, the part I was saying about and Beyonce, it's just musically the first song with Summer to Summer. So can you hear me?
Go ahead.
So like the first song on Everything in Love, Summer. I'm just saying musically, the tempos change so drastically that it forces Jay to change his flow, and I think he recognizes that as a challenge. Him having hits, he can just buy hits. Like he could put out a song and then put $1 billion behind it and just buy the hit. So a hit is easy. You could just pay for it. You know what I mean? So I don't think that is what is moving him, because I think he's honestly trying to just make the best music. Because making music with Beyonce while she's doing all her Beyonce-ness, the tempos are going to change. You know what I mean? But I don't think Jay is leaning on her or Jay needs a hit record. Or I think he's moving strictly on what he feels, because he doesn't have no pressure of doing nothing. You know what I mean? He's doing what he wants purely. There is no pressure to do nothing from his standpoint that I see.
Okay, all right. Let's deal with that notion, right? Yeah. Why do you say that he has no pressure to do anything musically?
I want to answer that too.
Okay. So I just think he has no pressure to do anything because, and I heard Logic say this once, not to go, but he said he's done so much that it's kind of hard to find like what is my new thing, because I've already done a lot. So with Jay, he knows that he's already done so much that what is the pressure? Like, you're gonna tell me I gotta do something that I've already did anyway? Like, it's like I do not believe there is pressure there, because like I did that. Whatever you're asking me to do, I probably did already, and I probably did it multiple times. So it's like I'm not tripping, like, you know what I mean? I think the pressure is the mirror. Like, the hardest pressure is going to be to meet the creative standard of your own greatness. And Jay, whatever rhymes are going through his head, so crazy that it's like he's trying to compete with those.
You know what Jay never did that he consistently talked about more than anybody else?
What's that?
He never sold that million in a week that he always talked about.
Oh,
50 did it. Wayne did it.
I thought he.
Obviously, Eminem did it. Kanye did it.
okay.
And it's like we can't sit here and act like Jay has done every single thing. No, there's always something new to do. There was something new for Michael Jackson to achieve, for Prince
You
to
want
achieve,
to
for
tell him
Michael Jordan to achieve. You've never done it all the way all. Like I think as an artist, it and I'm sure Jay would attest to this. Like there's
Magna
some
Carta is a
things
million.
artistically I'm sure he wishes he could have done, and there's still more to do.
Magna Carta is $1 million in a week. It's $1 million before the album even came out.
Are you talking about
Well-
digital downloads from Android Ponzi scheme? I'm talking about real units, man. Stop that.
So you want Jay to sell 1 million records, and that will confirm to you that he is who he says he is because he can sell 1 million.
I'm just showing you an example that there are things that he hasn't done. You said he's done everything.
He could pay.
And he never outsold his contemporaries. He wasn't outselling DMX when DMX was rolling. Hard Knock Life did, you know what I'm saying? But you act like Jay went out there and was putting up diamond records. That's the other thing he didn't do. He put up the diamond because they were trying to get a diamond selling record. They never did that. There's still things to achieve. That's my only point.
I don't think I think for a billionaire to be thinking about millions makes no sense. If Jay can sell 1 billion, then we're talking. But we're talking.
Well, you know what? This is the thing, Leroy. If we're talking about him being a billionaire, he should just hang up the microphone right now and just never rap again. Like, there's nothing. What billionaire do you know that's out here rhyming words together for real? If it's like that, you know what I'm saying?
But you're talking about selling records. That to me is low hanging fruit. Like you want to see Jay. You want to see Jay sell 1 million in a week, and that will confirm to you that his bars are dope.
I'm just telling you, these are things that he set out for himself that he didn't accomplish. That's just like this. So, like Leroy, if I were to say, "Yo, my goal for Mike D or whatever, I want According to Hip Hop to have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube," and let's just say that didn't happen, and I'm sitting there like, "Well, I done got $1 million or whatever." Right. I've attained all my goals. Like, no, there was still a goal at hand. You know what I'm saying?
Mike.
Mike. If I say I want According to Hip Hop to have 100,000 subscribers and they get 10 million, I can't be like, man, I really didn't get that 100,000 because 10 million is more. Like Jay sold.
No. We still no. He never achieved that million in a week, Leroy. That's different. That's different.
Jay plays for 3 years. He's not playing for a week.
Let me speak on this too.
He said these things though. You act like I'm creating standards for him that he hadn't created for himself.
He did that. That's so boring. Let's say he put out an album and it sold 1 million in a week. We'd be like, that's boring. We still wouldn't care. We wouldn't care. We made the hype.
I want to speak on this.
Later, it'll be boring. You know what I mean?
Mike, let me can I give a little insight on that too, or a little?
Yes.
I just want, definitely. Good to see you, Mike, as well.
Good to see you too, man. Good to hear from you, brother.
So just two things really, but just let me, I want to ask you these 2 questions first. Did Jay-Z from 96 to 2004, did you not consider him one of the best artists and best businessmen in the game?
Yeah, still do.
Okay. So hold on. Salute. So now number 2, when Jay first came out in 1996, did you not consider him, or no, let me say it this way. Was Jay's mission on Reasonable Doubt, the first album, not to prove that he was the best hustler in the game?
Yeah, I feel like I wrote an article on this one time. I said that Reasonable Doubt is the most ambitious album in music history, because everything that he said he was going to do on that album, he did it.
Oh, I thought you sonically at first, like it was sonically the most. I was about to be like,
no, I'm just talking about the ambition on that. Like, that's the greatness of Reasonable Doubt. Really, you hear a lot of people talk about the fact that when Reasonable Doubt came out, it didn't take over, you know, like All Eyes on Me, or even It Was Written. It didn't sell like those records, but the allure around Reasonable Doubt is the fact that this guy actually became everything that he said he was going to become on that album.
Pause. Hold on, Mike. Now you just said that, right? Yeah. You see what you just said, Mike? You said, but you just said, you questioned Leroy. You said, why does Jay not feel like he has to do more? What did you just say? Your statement just said he did everything he set out to do on that album.
On the first album, but he set out more goals for himself on albums thereafter. And like again, and I think my thing is like, again, 96 is 96 and hip hop is still growing. We saw people do things that Jay never did. And I think that when we speak in Jay in terms of the way that we are right now, Leroy or whoever else is acting like Jay has done everything that other people haven't done. Michael Jordan went 6 for 6. That happened. Not a lot of people, if anybody, in these eras did that. But with Jay, you can't really pinpoint one thing that he did that wasn't outdone by his counterparts. That's all I'm saying. So to sit here and act like there's nothing to achieve, well, there are people around you that have achieved more in other facets.
Okay, so bring them out. Show me the rappers that have a Rockefeller and a Rock Nation. We could start there. Show me the rappers that have put Rihanna in the game. Show me the rappers who have a Kanye. But we don't even have to go there.
And that's why
you have a better Rockefeller and Rock Nation. If you do not have a better company than that,
so you're talking about from a business standpoint. From a business, no, I will give you this. From a business/artist standpoint, if we're talking about, you know, doing both of those things, he's unprecedented. You know what I mean? He's only in the same line with people like Dr. Dre, Diddy, and there's a short list there. But you're talking about as a rapper, and you're talking about as an artist. And if we're talking about just strictly as an artist, then he's not standing alone. And all of the accomplishments you're about to present are company accomplishments and business accomplishments, which are fine and well. But musically, it ain't like that. He's not in an heir apparent position in that way.
Hey, let me read the super chat real quick, guys. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, "The Black Effect is an amazing Black cultural song and flooded with bars."
I want to speak on that, Ron. I want to speak on his super chat. Can I?
Speak on it, brother.
Salute to Jermaine. Salute to both of his super chats about the written testimony being after the Magna Carta, and Black Effect is an amazing Black cultural song and flooded with bars. So hot take. I think that's why I asked, why don't we talk about the Everything Love album more? Because I think, hot take, I think that 2 of Jay-Z's top 20 songs are on that project. That's real. Ooh. Black Effect. He said Black Effect, and then 8-ish. For real.
It's a great album.
It's a great album.
Wow.
Great album.
I mean, again,
that's a great album. No, let me say this, Leroy. That's a great, like y'all said, he's making hits. He's not trying. Like when he gets with Beyonce, it's a dynamic of Jay. Like Super Duper always says, he said, Jay can only rap about himself. Jay only talks about his own life. When he gets with Beyonce, that's a different chamber. Because it, like Leroy said, it's his wife and it's different musically. And Mike said it's cohesive, it sounds quality, Jay sounded confident. So it's like that's a different chamber for Jay. So that's the kind of music the fans want. That may be not what Jay wants to do. You see, that's easy for Jay. And I'm not a stan. I'm just listening to the music. Like Ron said, that Everything Love album sounded amazing to the ears, to the palate. I don't think nobody in the chat can argue with that. It sounded great. And Black Effect and 8-ish, two best Jay-Z songs.
Where are the rappers with a female counterpart on the album? Jay did the Carters. A lot of these artists are in relationship with female singers, or they know a bunch of singers. Where is the album with the singers? That is one thing.
Huh?
Where
Big
because
Sean done did mad albums with his.
I'm just saying,
with his wife.
you named one guy. Now maybe we could name
What?
5, but hip hop has hip hop
Man,
has
listen, I'm not gonna sit
where
here and
is the
fault.
female-
I ain't gonna sit here and fault the artists because they don't want to make an album with their wife, man. Like, come
That's
on.
a cheat code. That female energy based on that and the rapper energy coming together in music, that is a cheat code that is going to be overlooked. And now we'll go to 444. The reason he doesn't sound confident is because that's him reconciling his relationship. So he's not supposed to sound confident aiming the bars at Beyonce, because he's not going to talk wild to Beyonce. You know what I mean?
You want me to keep it real? You want me to keep it real, Leroy?
Rappers, where is your album where you're not confident? Why haven't you made that? It does not make sense. You mean to tell me every day of your life you're confident every single day, every day? Where is your album where you had to work out your problems with your significant other on behalf of your children? How come I don't hear that album? That's regular to me. We should all have those albums already. As hip hop, we should have had about 10 of those.
Oh, hip hop has those, man. I mean, listen, I'm gonna be perfectly honest here, man. Like, I understand what you're saying, like making an album with your wife, but his wife is Beyonce. And let's be honest, man, like Jay made this album with her to latch on and continue on. Like, just like he latched on with Watch the Throne. This is no different. He had to latch on to somebody who is the biggest artist in the game. And that happens to be his wife. You know what I'm saying?
But he didn't make another album though. That's what he didn't.
Beyonce too,
but he didn't make another album.
Let me ask you guys a question.
Okay.
Does Jay-Z have a top 25 feature all time? We talk about all of the features ever in hip hop history, featured on somebody else's record. What Jay-Z feature would you say is a top 25 guest appearance in hip hop all time?
With someone like Jay, we're looking for what he hasn't done instead of running down what he has done. That's the problem.
We all know what he has done. I'm just asking a question because I'm going to put together a list. Okay. I want to put together a list.
What he has done cancels out what he hasn't done because he's done too much. I think Jay has one of the best feature runs ever. When I think people know Jay's words word for word. I think
like what, Leroy?
Like what songs? Yeah, like what?
I think if he did like the Blue Kicks, hottest nigga on the block, or whatever. I think I
see that in the chat a lot. Y'all think that his verse on Maya's Best of Me remix is a top 25 hip hop beat?
But if you don't know Jay's verse, like someone said in the chat last time, Fonte's nobody because I never heard of him. Well, yes, if you never heard of Jay-Z's features, that's on you though, not Jay-Z.
Okay, Mike, let me ask you a question real quick, Mike. Let me ask you a question because we did Ron Bay and I did a whole show about Jay's features, right?
Okay.
So I would say 4 Alarm Blaze with MOP is a top 25 feature.
Really?
I would say Blackout Blackout on Flesh Blood on My Blood. I would say Best of Me. I would say
I disagree, man.
Somebody said I love the dope. I love the dope.
I would say Guess Who's Back with Scarface and Ye. And Beanie. I would say that's a feature.
You know what, guys? I gotta put together my list because my list has stuff like Verbal Intercourse. It has Method Man Shadowboxing. It has stuff like it has like Cannabis's verse on Beats from the East, like Scenario, Busta Rhymes. Like these are like game shattering features, man. Like
Blackout.
Mike, if I
can't stand the rain.
Maybe I didn't understand the question. Maybe I didn't understand the question. Your question was, what are the top 25 features of hip hop history, and does Jay have one? Is that the question?
That's the question for me. And if so, which one?
Mike, if I say the verse on two verses, Jay's verse on Crazy in Love with Beyonce and Jay's verse on People are going to say, well, verbal intercourse is better because it's a lyrical miracle. But that's not the question that was asked. The question that was asked is, do people know those verses? And the answer is yes, they do know those verses. So while you're talking about verbal intercourse, people do know the verse for Umbrella. People do know the verse for Crazy in Love. People do know the verse for the feature with Maya. They do know Jay's verses. So these are
you would put those hold on. You would put those verses
because
ahead.
nobody in the game could tell me what is the best, because I'm sorry, we don't have a judge that is the judge over hip hop of what rules the best. We don't have nobody like that.
Oh, let me ask you this as a writer yourself, from a quality standpoint. You're telling me that the Crazy in Love and Umbrella verse, you would put those ahead of AZ's feature on Life's a Bitch?
No.
You're making a bar argument.
I'm making a music argument. This ain't about a bar argument.
Let me say something about that, Leroy. Let me talk on that, because I'm
AZ to Jay-Z, because people think that makes sense. And
let
actually,
me speak on that, Leroy. Let me speak on that, right? The AZ versus Jay-Z bar on that Dangerous in Love versus the Life's a Beat. Jay, the technical, the way he put it together, that's kind of what I get into with Eminem. Young Hove, y'all know when the flow was loco, Young B and the ROC, like the comma, it might not, like, I know what Mike's saying, it's like what he's saying is not, it's not really, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like the way he put it together, the devices, the literary devices that he used was like top par for real in that Dangerous, in that Crazy in Love verse. That's one of my favorite verses from Jay feature, but also Blackout as well, Mike.
Shorty saw my
in on that.
My necklace.
I don't even know if he had the best verse on Blackout.
Nah, he probably did.
Super chat real quick. Let's go to the super chats real quick. Michael Williams with the super chat says, "Young G's and I Love the Dough could be top 25."
I love the dough.
That's not.
Wait. And I was just listening to I Love the Dope song. And I've said it on this channel before, I love when Jay's rhyming over Angela Winbush samples. I think that's when he's at his best. But you're going to sit here and tell me that feature is better than DMX's feature on Money, Power, and Respect? It's not. Like, that feature that DMX has on Money, Power, and Respect, he takes over that record. And that's what I'm looking for on my list of feature appearances. When DMX got on, when I heard DMX on Money, Power, and Respect, I'm like, who is this nigga?
But Jay's not supposed to be DMX.
DMX. When I heard AZ on Life's a Bitch, I was like, who is this nigga?
And let me knock these two super chats out real quick, guys.
You never knew this nigga?
Hold on 1 second. Lawrence Adisa says 444 was cool, but zero replay value. Matt Max with the super chat says, "Welcome to NYC, Mike." Welcome to NYC, Mike. Don't do that.
Not one of the strongest Jay features. I remember listening to it when it came out. I was disappointed because there was a lot of hype around him finally teaming up with Cam, and I thought it was a dialed-in verse. I did.
First point. 444 is not supposed to be replayed. It's supposed to be listened to once. Again, it's an experience album.
Who? Did he say that?
No, he didn't. But an album about reconciling with Beyonce. Now, if you want to listen to that over and over, great. But that to me sounds like something you listen to once. There's nothing wrong with listening to something once. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, Jay's verses. The reason why he says something, Shorty saw my necklace, started relaxing. Now, that's what the I call a chain reaction. His verses are constructed in a way where you say the rhyme. That's the genius in it. If I spit the life is a bitch verse and you can't repeat it after I spit it, Jay's mechanics in Jay's writing is so the audience are repeating the bars.
You know what, Leroy? This is what I will give you. And I know it was on both of their albums. If you want to count Money Ain't a Thing as a feature for Jay, I think that's a credible nominee because that nigga spazzed on there. Now, I will give Money Ain't a Thing that. I do think that I could compile a list of 25 that might bump that out. But I do think if you want to count Jay feature on Money Ain't a Thing, Jermaine Dupri, as a feature, I think that could be a credible candidate. That's the stuff I'm seeing. I think a lot of people are looking at like
not better
R&B
than Guess
stuff.
Who's Back, Mike. Let's not do that.
It ain't better.
No, I love his verse on Guess Who's Back, but
Come on,
there's
Mike.
a debate if he even has the best verse on there. I think he does, but Siegel
Yeah,
and
but-
Space did their thing too. It wasn't. Guess
Jay
Who's
competing
Back
with?
wasn't one of those features where it was like, oh man, turn the song off, the song's over. No, it wasn't.
Jay don't see that because you're talking about his verses. For Jay to understand what you're saying, he has to look and see someone as competition. He does not see that. I'm telling you, because because who is Jay's competition? Like, no, you're gonna say Nas, but to us, Nas verses hit the same way Jay does. But in Jay's mind, he sees a difference in how Nas verses hit versus how his verses hit. When Nas is an incredible MC.
Does Dear Summer count? Does Dear Summer count?
Drops a verse, people comb through the verse for a week, going through every bar trying to find a double meaning. They went
come
for
on.
a week. Look, they're not combing through other bars like that. They're not doing no unless you're Lupe Fiasco.
Leroy, you're talking about what you do. That's not what the masses do.
Jay's made $1 billion off making bars that bring people's ear to it in a way where they have to listen twice. Like, does he mean a double meaning? Like, you know what I mean? When he says, you know, Coke, is he talking about the soda? You know what I mean? You know, so.
Hey, Juice Falco with the super chat says, I don't believe what I'm hearing from Leroy. ... Actually, I can. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, Dear Summer, that's the answer. There's the answer.
If Dear Summer counts, I think that's a great verse, and I guess a great technical feature. But again, I think the problem with Dear Summer is if we start putting it up against the other great features that actually had other artists on the songs, and it would be tough to give it the nod over something that had other MCs on it. You know what I mean?
Right. Lawrence with the super chat says, LOL, I didn't buy 444 to listen to it once. And then Michael Williams says, Mike, that's unfair. No one is going to take over when they're on a track with Big. His presence and voice is unmatched. The J verses are still A1.
Listen, they are still A1, but are they all-time A1? I mean, you're right. Nobody's going to take over on a feature with Big. But all right, let me ask you this: would you put his feature on "I Love the Dough" over Biggie's feature on "Victory"? Because we got to remember, Biggie on "Victory" is still a feature. Bone on "Notorious Thugs" is still a feature. Those are the things that I'm probably going to put on the list. Do you guys want to say that feature is better than Twista on Po Pimpin'? Because it's not. Twista's verse on Po Pimpin' is one of the greatest features ever. I don't give a fuck what anybody says.
Twista, you're telling me Twista's verses hold the same weight as Jay-Z's? No,
you're talking about generalities. Excuse me. Tell me one Jay-Z feature that you would put over Twista's Po Pimpin' feature. Just tell me that.
His verse on Who Gonna Stop Me Now, his verse on
Oh, well, are you serious? You're not being honest, man.
What?
Come on, man.
I mean, come on, man.
Come on, man.
And if Twista's verses hold the same weight as Jay's, okay. But I don't think they do. Now, and I
look
love
at the ladies with the open lips and the provoking hips and never got to tell that many lies. I've been looking at the city sky. Come on, man. Come on.
Okay, so if Jay loses the argument, his features ain't popping. So what? I mean, does it matter now?
I mean, it does. You made it sound like it mattered. I was just making a statement.
To me, when people hear that Jay's on a song, I've seen people stop what they're doing to go listen to it. And I've seen that so many times in my life that it's like, I haven't seen that with nobody else. Like, they'll see a song, it'll say featuring Jay-Z. They will stop what they're doing, right?
Okay.
That's
and
real.
With that being said, though,
why are you stopping what you're doing to go listen to a song? Like,
well, with that being said, is it really warranted if he doesn't really have any top 25 all-time features, or is that just hype?
One top 25 verse. Jay doesn't have one top 25 feature and 30 years. It's like, okay, well then you just don't like Jay-Z. Like, like you mean to tell me this man dropped all them verses and not one? And this is someone who people consider to be one of the greatest lyricists ever. You're meaning to tell me he ain't got one verse? This is why I said Crazy in Love. When they go back in the history books and they see Beyonce, Crazy in Love, they don't. You're thinking they're gonna have a reaction like, oh, Beyonce. But 100 years from now, they didn't get to see Beyonce in real life. So they're
I'm sorry. So it's my bad to cut you off, Leroy. My mere thought says Jay-Z. Since you're talking about go Crazy in Love, I want to continue with the crazy theme. He says Jay-Z's best feature verse was on Jeezy's Go Crazy remix. I can see that.
That was a dope verse.
Jay-Z don't never, Mike. Let me say this is LT. Jay-Z to me, and I look at it, objectively. I don't think he got a. Like in every song that he think about the songs. I named facts, songs. We speak about substance. The song with DMX, Money Cash O's, that song. Even on that, that's like the beat is like crunk and DMX is aggressive. What? But Jay, that's not his demeanor is like rap now. Fast Money that slowed up. Hitters try to stop Jay-Z to no luck. Rockefeller forever. CEO, what? Us the illest. Like, his demeanor is calm, even on the Biggie joint. With the I Love the Dough is calm, even on the Blackout. I'm a monster. I sleep whole winters, wake up and spit summers. Ghetto nigga putting up Will Smith numbers. He's calm about it. Like that's he don't take over. Like you can say he didn't have the best verse because like the impact, but the words and what he's bringing, it's like nobody can do what Jay doing, man. Like
no, he's elite, man. I got him number 2 all time, guys.
Oh, okay, Mike.
I got nephews and they all writing. Like how he's saying it.
I like that verse too, but again, it's not an all-time feature. Now, I could be wrong. Now, I think let's just say "Do It Again" hypothetically is really Beanie Sigel's song. Now, if that was counted as a feature, I'd be willing to put that one in the hat. But I just don't think that his features are up to the level of a Shadow Boxing, Can't Stop the Rain, Beast from the East. Poe Pimpin'. Like I think
why is that, Mike?
To me,
he just don't got the ability.
I don't really have an answer for that, guys. I don't know. I'm just basing it on the results. I think that sometimes what we do is because of who the person is, we give them an edge. Like I don't know if Andre 3000 has a top 25 feature. I know people are gonna throw tomatoes at me for that, but I got to think about it. I'm not just gonna give it to him because of who he is. I got to think about it, and I got to actually go through the verse.
Throw some D's remix, Mike. The Walk It Out remix.
That's not
it's
a
not.
Top 20. Nah.
Andre didn't go off. I
think
on
Andre's best chance at that. Andre's best chance at that might be International Players Anthem, or I would say Thought Process, but I don't know.
That man went off on that Throw Some D's remix.
Hey, Mike, Mad Max doesn't believe you. Mad Max in the super chat says, I don't believe Mike now when he says Jay-Z is number 2.
I think people are thinking you have to like
I
the
got
song
him number 2
in order for Jay to get credit. You don't have to like the song, y'all. Like if I tell you that the verse on Umbrella did what it's supposed to do, you don't have to like it. But we all know when we heard the umbrella, with no clouds in my stones. They're like how that inflection in every little thing he's doing.
He literally said nothing on Umbrella, Leroy. I can't let you get away with that, man.
But what
you thought that Umbrella verse was dope like that? Come on.
Jay cannot be perfect at everything in life. He just can't. He just can't.
I think that's an obvious observation. Nobody's perfect at everything in life.
Perfect at everything in life. There's just no. So overall, y'all.
Speak for yourselves, guys. My wife said I'm perfect, bro. She sounds perfect.
My wives are never gonna say we're perfect. Come on.
Verses wise, I have never in my life seen people gravitate to a verse again like Jay. When they see the name Jay is on a song, people literally stop what they're doing. That is the only artist who I have seen get that reaction out of all the artists. I have not.
I want to. You keep saying that. When did that happen? You talking about the God did shit?
Okay,
because that was pretty manufactured.
Every time Jay drops a song, everybody got to go listen. Every time Jay drop anything, people racing to go listen because then they got to talk about it. It's like
people race to go listen to the Jay Electronica album that you said that he should get credit for.
They didn't know. They didn't know Jay was.
They didn't know Jay was on. Okay, I got you.
Hey,
For real.
Stephon Young with the super chat says, "What about Drake and Jay-Z songs? Those songs are never that. Those songs are never that good." Matt Master super chat says, "Matt Master super chat says because whole slice is getting nasty now." And then Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, "Fellas, I just want to say I appreciate these Saturday and Sunday drops. Please keep them going." Yeah, we're gonna keep them going, Jermaine. We try to give folks that can't catch us on Mondays and Wednesdays a weekend rhyme type of deal. So we're gonna keep hitting y'all with the weekend rhyme. We're gonna still hit y'all with it. Appreciate the love, brother.
Let me ask you guys something too. And this is for my new era folks. So shout out to John. I'm sure he would appreciate this. Does Jay-Z have a feature that people would put ahead of Kendrick Lamar's Control feature?
Man, come on, man, Mike. Let's stop this.
No,
man.
I'm just asking as far as impact.
That's a crazy ass question, man. That's
I'm just
crazy.
asking. I know there are features that he has that I like personally more.
Let's stop, man. Let's stop. The Control feature, like Jay Electronica said, I'm sorry. I know we're coming off the pop out. I know we coming off the pop out. I know we coming off the video shoot in Compton. I know we coming out. He winning against Drake. But let's be for real. Even Jay Electronica said Big Sean had the best verse on that, and he might have had the second verse on that. And that Control verse wasn't really like that, man. Let's just be for real, man.
History is gonna say different, but okay.
Yeah. Hey, somebody in the chat, put up a fist hand if you play that Control verse on Apple Music, Tidal, Spotify, Amazon Music in the last week. If you pulled up Control and played it, I want to see.
And I have another question too. It's a follow-up. Can I ask another question, please?
Right.
Because I'm trying to compile my list, and I want to be fair as possible. What do you guys think about Snoop Doggy Dogg on Deep Cover? I think that's very important.
Right, but
and we also have to remember G-Thang is a feature too.
I listen to Snoop Dogg for different reasons than I listen to Jay-Z. And again, I think people are smart enough to where they listen to a rapper and they go to for different things. I think the double entendres, people intentionally go to Jay for that. I think they have learned to accept that. With Snoop, I think they go for a flow. Snoop has a particular flow in delivery, but Jay cannot always compete with everybody at the same time. Because if he has to do that, then that does make him the GOAT. Because every time his name comes up, he got to compete with everybody.
Wait a minute. You just stated the Umbrella verse and the Crazy in Love verse because of the flow and because of the staying power and because of the hit-making ability, and now we're not going to give Snoop that same credence?
Snoop came out in 1993. Jay-Z came out in 96.
So, why does that matter? I'm talking about what you were talking about with the flow and what you were talking about with the cadence and the hit-making songs. Snoop did that on G-Thang, and he did that on Deep Cover.
Jay probably has the most dynamic flow in hip-hop, unless you want to, overall. He's probably used so many different flows, it's probably uncountable. I think if you probably just go off Reasonable Doubt by itself, there's so many flows just there. But the flow is not going to be an argument. But it's like, I don't know, like, even if Snoop wins that, okay, like, you're looking for Jay to prove that he has clout or prove he has impact or prove he has flows, or it's like the things that people ask Jay to prove.
I'm not asking him to do that. Jay's done so much in his career. What I'm saying is when I put together this top 25 features list, and if Jay-Z doesn't have one on there, I don't want people crying like I didn't really think about this. You know what I'm saying?
There's hundreds of songs, so you could easily exclude Jay-Z. You don't need Jay-Z for a list. You know what I mean? Like, I get what you're saying, but the all-time, dude, you do not have to be all-time great to be great. That is a misconception.
Hey, let me go through these super chats real quick. Let me get through these super chats real quick. Mad Max says, ghetto and putting up Will Smith numbers is bars, Mike. Fireball,
yes, sir.
Mike. John Phillips with the super chat says, Pac on Gotta Get Mine is better than all of Jay's features.
That's a good one.
No, Jay is his rhymes. People know.
Let me go through these super chats real quick. Mad Max with the super chat says, Mike, go to bed. Laughing my ass off. I know you ain't say that. Chris Hogan with the super chat says, Freddie Gibbs on Scottie Pippen is a top 25 feature. And then Matt Max in the super chat says, "No one knows Hove control." No, so no one knows how control starts, Mike. You wilding now.
I just asked a question. I'm not big on control. I just know how high people hold it. I've never been a huge fan
Man,
of it.
ain't nobody hold that record high, man. I don't hear nobody talking about this record, man. Come on, Mike.
That's a
Okay, I'm just trying to be fair and balanced.
That's an urban legend, Mike. Ain't nobody talking about control like that. Hey, Super Duper in the building, man. Super Duper, man. You been waiting.
Super duper.
What's really good, fellas? What's happening?
Ain't nothing.
Super Duper,
What's
how
on
you
your
doing,
mind,
bro?
brother?
Man, I thought we all agreed we ain't want to hear Leroy say Jigga no more, man.
Hey,
Nah,
hey,
You know,
Super is my fault. It's LT.
hey,
It's my fault. I brought him up. My bad.
I'm
But it was
expecting a
good.
full. I'm expecting a full show from Mike on Eminem now. You got it. Now you got it. Hey, all the gloves are off, man. We gotta go ahead and get back on M now. But
I have nothing to say about Eminem. I'm just gonna wait till the album drop.
I jumped on the show late. I mean, what's the argument about Jay-Z? I mean, come on, y'all. We can keep it. This is what I'm saying. I got Jay in my top 5. We can
Okay.
keep it real, man. Jay ain't got no top feature like that. I mean, if we can't have these discussions and be honest about it, like how we gonna be honest about anything else? Let's just keep it real, man. Y'all know that Jay ain't got no top 25 feature. I love the dough is
Rattled off
nice.
some features, and I'm like, I mean, does Jay have a feature that we would put over Snoop's feature on Deep Cover and G Thing?
No, they know better for real, and that's what I'm saying. Leroy, come on, man. You ain't got to. Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing, man. Let's just keep it 100, man.
If Jay made your top 5, that is harder to do than to make your feature list. It's harder for him to make your top 5 list. So he's going to use that argument like, okay, so I don't have a top 25 verse to you, but I'm in your top 5. You're basically telling me that my work is better than whatever feature argument you could have.
Yeah, listen, I'll say this too. Ghostface is in my top 5, right? But Ghost ain't got he ain't got no hell of a features like that for me to even be defending. So I mean, let's just keep it real. We can just keep it real. I mean, Scarface ain't got too many like features like that we can just ramble off, but he's still in the top 10.
Right.
I mean, let's just be honest here, man. We ain't gotta blow up or gas everything Jay do, man. It's just because we saying he ain't got a top 25 feature don't mean that he can't be number 2 or that we hate him or nothing like that. I mean, the man he just ain't got it. He just ain't got that.
Well, since Leroy is on this soapbox right now, I gotta ask: is Jay-Z a top 5 performer in hip hop?
But Mike, it's like,
I'm just asking.
Top 5.
Mike, you throwing Mike. It's like you throwing every challenge against Jay tonight,
I
man.
just want to see if he's gonna say yes to
study. Mike said he's a top 5 performer. He's a top 5 feature.
I mean, you gotta find out where Leroy can at least criticize Jay in any way and not have him as the best something.
Like, I'm giving you an opportunity to be honest.
But let me say something.
Jay-Z's fashion top 5.
Let me say something, fellas. Let me say one thing, fellas. LT again. So if Mike just said, he's in his top. Mike said he's number 2 all time for him. Jay-Z, Super Duper said he's in his top 5. So we got it. Why y'all putting him so high if he don't got top 25 feature? If he don't got top 20 fashion, don't got top 20 out. Like, I mean, he got top 20 out. I would guess. I don't even know if y'all will say that. So
he got undeniable lyrical ability. He do make nice songs.
That's the only reason you got him in top 5.
That's the only. That's it. That's all. He
made Reasonable Doubt. He made The Blueprint. He made the Black Album. He did it over a span of time. He actually held down hip hop over a course of generations. He elevated the game. He elevated his game. He's battle tested. He never ran from a battle. I give him that too. He took on damn near the whole industry while he was going at, the number 1 MC of all time. I give him that. Now, but in my opinion, though, if we're talking about, between him, Big, and Pac, those guys would have lived on and continued on the course that they were on. I don't know if I would have him ahead of them. I think that Big was better than him when, Big was alive. I think that he kind of took up Big's lane when Big was no longer here. And, again, that happened, and it is what it is. But skill set standpoint, do you think that – I think that Jay was probably a better lyricist than Big, but an overall MC, no.
I think it's blasphemous to have him over Tupac. Honestly, even just Tupac's catalog versus Jay-Z's catalog. Even though I think that's just crazy to even let that come out your mouth. Now I can understand Nas being over Jay. I can even understand if somebody want to put Nas over Pac at this moment. But for me, Nas is. Tupac. He's definitely over Jay. So wherever Jay is at, Tupac could be one spot ahead of him wherever you got him listed.
Jay should
Pac
not
beat Jay in the verses, yes.
Jay should not be in your top 5 if he lacks all these things. The fact that in your top 5, your arguments. Another thing too is like if we're gonna be fair, people ask Jay to meet a lyrical bar, right? And then when he meets that bar, they admit that he met the bar, and they're still asking him to meet the lyrical bar after he meets the bar. Now that's fine. We can do that. But to be fair, if someone is a better performer than Jay, then they should have a better touring history than Jay, so we can be fair. So they can say,
I don't know, man. I don't think the touring business is based on talent alone. That's business.
Let me go through these super chats real quick. Matt Master the super chat says the Like That song is more popping than Control Ron. I do agree. Teddy Top super chat says Nipsey on Welcome Home deserves top 25 consideration. Matt Max with super chat said he's not a top 5 performer. He's speaking about Jay, but he's top 20 for a fact.
Jay has to meet the Nas bar lyrically, but Nas never has to meet the commercial bar. But Jay has to meet the Nas bar lyrically. Nas doesn't have to meet the hit making.
This ain't about Nas and Jay, man.
Okay.
This is just strictly about Jay-Z. We don't have to drag Nas into this conversation when we criticizing Jay-Z for not having the features like that. We don't have to keep that going, man. Jay-Z can get criticized on his own without being compared to Nas.
Hey Mike, they had a question, man.
I agree with that, super duper. Where the critiques come in at, though, is the fact that Jay really hasn't made an album that really looks like Jay-Z that we know of in 15 years. Yet, no one is actually saying that except for us. We're just calling it what it is. Like, the Blueprint 3 is the last time that we saw Jay-Z in the form that we hold him so high for. Everything else, he's pretty much just been existing. If you want to talk about Holy Grail, he's just been existing out here. 444, you said you only listened to it one time. It's only meant to be listened to one time. And if it's only meant to be listened to one time, we got to take it as such. So that's just existing. Nobody listens to everything that's loved. It's a pretty decent album.
We're in an industry with a lot of men artists. Like, we have a bunch of men artists that are in their 40s, and I don't hear no albums about their relationship. So you mean to tell me that these rappers have been in multiple relationships, and there's some that's been married, and there's some that's been married with kids for years, and I never heard an album based on your relationship? That is insanity.
Hey, real quick, not to pivot, because there was a question, Mike, before you jumped on. People were upset with us yesterday. We posted who's the better MC, Pac versus Kendrick. People on the Kendrick side said that was unfair. Some people said yes. I think overwhelmingly Pac won on the YouTube poll, on the Facebook poll, on the Twitter poll. I believe he won. And then some people are saying, it's too soon. Why are we doing the comparison? This is a whack comparison.
What's unfair about that?
I agree. It's unfair.
Okay.
What's unfair about it? I mean, listen, Kendrick's had a longer career musically than Tupac has. I think there's enough sample size to actually judge it. I think that both of them have made enough albums for people to have some sort of, be able to judge it. Is it unfair for us to?
I think there's a reluctancy to recognize stylistically that Kendrick Lamar's music is melodic and rhythmically driven. So when you're comparing that, it's Pac harmonizing and making bridges and doing melodic shifts and as many times as Kendrick is doing it? No, because Pac is a different type of artist with a different sound. So you're comparing two different
No,
sounds.
he just better, period, man. He better. He was
He made
better
better
as
music.
a young man. He just
Sense,
Who?
he,
yo. Kendrick is
Who?
not supposed to
hey,
sound like
he,
Tupac or
Super
Tupac.
duper,
Kendrick
super duper. What's your
Kendrick
thought?
is not a kid, man. Kendrick is 37 years old. Tupac died when he was 25.
But
Now,
Kendrick's music is
if
melodically driven. It's melodically and conceptually driven. But without those two things, Tupac's music
even
is
concept wise, even with his black conscious concepts, he can't mess with Tupac on that level.
I
So I
agree.
mean, Tupac is better than Kendrick on pretty much every way, unless you want to prioritize lyrical miracle style of rapping and voices and being animated and having a little bit, I guess, more style with his rapping ability. If you want to, I mean, if you're giving that credit and that means something to you, then okay, he can have that category. But other than that, I mean, where would he line up with Tupac to be better than Tupac?
if I were comparing Kendrick to Andre 3000, now we have a music we can compare. If I compare Pac,
Oh, stop.
if I compare
How?
Pac,
How? This nigga ain't got no song.
because Pac
You're
is
telling me you can compare a nigga who ain't got no songs to him, but
Tupac
somebody who has a catalog you can't? Andre
Tupac
ain't got no song. How can you have a
different.
comparison? What you
Tupac
mean?
approaches music different than Andre 3000, and I hear that.
Andre doesn't have any music to
Andre,
compare.
look, but
What are you
listen,
talking about?
Andre 3000 approaches music different than Tupac. So I don't see the comparison because there is none.
I mean, so did Jay-Z and Nas. I mean, that's what I mean. There's no comparison between Jay-Z and Nas if you're going to use this same logic.
Exactly.
And Mike says Andre don't have the music. Mike said Andre don't have the music, but I know Andre would probably perform more than 13 records at a show, though. I do know that.
Andre ain't got no songs, man.
But he got more than 13 songs to do at a show, though. I tell you that, though.
He ain't got one song with 3 verses in 30 years.
I know.
Can't compare him to anybody.
Andre, look at his set list. He do a show with more than 13 songs. That's all I'm saying.
They ain't his song.
Outkast count. Outkast counts as his catalog.
Outkast is a group.
Okay, so let's count the group.
Andre as an individual is Andre. He ain't got no song.
He has no ownership of the songs, Mike, because he's in a group.
Ain't no ownership. They're not his song. It's
The
Outkast song.
Is not Outkast.
Because my thing is y'all don't do the same shit for Big Boy. Because Big Boy got solo shit and Outkast shit. Y'all don't count Big Boy Outkast shit as Big Boy's catalog. Y'all don't do that.
Does Tupac have an album where he's singing? Does he have a singing album? No.
Do we want that? That doesn't even make a difference.
Does make a difference.
No, it don't.
About MC and niggas talking about singing.
It
What
does.
we talking about?
Like, what are we doing?
Fuck we talking about, man? Like, do we want Whitney Houston to rap? Are we gonna judge Whitney Houston against Mariah Carey based on Whitney Houston's spitting ability? Yeah, Mariah got flow. So what?
That think Kendrick's music and Tupac's music sonically sound similar, you can have this argument. I do not believe that their music sounds anything like each other.
Yeah, and Nas and Jay's don't either.
Exactly.
But no, it was written. Nas a conversational flow on Reasonable Doubt. Jay has a conversational flow. Them two things are comparable.
Wait, let me get to these super chats real quick, guys. My mere thought says it doesn't make it for a fun debate, but Pac is honestly pound for pound the best of all time at his peak. Matt Max with the super chat says, Mike, it's not close for you to compare him to Pac. Matt Max with the super chat says, hold on, let me pull it up. Pac had an original sound. Dot is a biter. And speaking of which, Matt Max is here. Matt Max, speak to what you just said.
Salute, Matt Max.
Yo, Mike, I can't believe I don't want to say the word I want to use for Mike right now. You're comparing Kendrick to Tupac Shakur?
No, man. I'm just
Shakur?
Look, man, you know I don't believe that. I'm just putting these notions out there because they're saying Kendrick's the king of LA. We ain't really heard anybody say any of this things like this since Pac was around. And I just want to see where he measures up in the minds of the people.
He's only the king. He's only the king of LA because he's good for LA. I'm gonna give him that. He's the quote unquote king of LA. That's cool. But to compare him to Tupac is crazy. when Tupac came out, yeah, he had a little bit of LL in him because he was the pretty boy, and he talked like a little bit like Chuck D. He had a little thug in him doing the little NWA Ice Cube thing. I get it. He kind of honestly reminds me a lot of what a lot of people like from Scarface. To me, Tupac did a lot of trauma rap, a lot of pain rap. That's what Pac's thing was, and I get that. But at least he did it in an original flow on beats that made sense for his sound. When you talk about Kendrick, it came in sounding like Lil Wayne. He do the Nicki Minaj biting. He's taking Lupe concepts. He's taking Eminem's rhyme schemes. I mean, come on. What is original about him? He got on the stage dressing like Tupac. What is comparable?
Max, Kendrick came out after the post Drake. The melodics in hip hop music became more rhythmic, more melodic, and more based around relationships. Pac is from a different era. These musics, they're so different that it just doesn't make sense.
Leroy, I love you. Leroy, I love you like a brother. I love you like you my own blood. But you can't get that bar off. Pac talked about relationships. Pac did talk about He wasn't melodic, but that's why he got a whole singer to do the melodic stuff.
I'm talking melodics. Kendrick's era, it's a lot of melodics. Every song damn near has
but we hate that. And we say that that's watering down the game. So that's not necessarily a good thing.
It's not. It don't have to be good, but the sonics don't line up. Pac wasn't trying to make a melodic something every time he approached a beat. He was trying to get us.
So he should only be compared to melodic rappers. Is that what you're trying to say?
But the bigger question, real quick, Leroy, is like we comparing his MC. Y'all said who's the better MC? So Leroy, if you're saying it's melodic, then that means Pac is the better MC, right?
Right.
I have to.
Well, what is that? First, before Leroy answers that question, we have to say what is an MC? Rakim defined the MC as someone who can move the crowd. Kendrick can't move no crowd like Tupac Shakur. What are we doing here?
Tupac is a brilliant MC. Tupac is a brilliant MC with a brilliant content, and he can deliver that brilliance greatly and as excellence. That's what Tupac can do, and we know that, right?
MCing.
Kendrick, he delivers music with not just respect to the content, but how the melodics are delivered. So it's not just the rhyme, and one's not better than the other. I'm just telling you there is a difference because
one is better than the other.
Pull that off.
One is definitely better than the other. That's what I mean. If that's the case, then you should love Drake.
Kendrick is not attacking To Pimp a Butterfly. He's not attacking every song. He's conceptually making a music that goes in a certain way, like a jazz album.
And let's get somebody that may agree with Leroy in here. My man John Nori is in the building. John, what's on your mind tonight?
John!
I know you have several thoughts about the topic.
What's good? Hey, hold on. I'm at the work. I'll put my man on the spot, man. Better than Tupac? That might be a bit early.
Wait a minute. The infamous Eli said, Ron, stop the bullshit, man. I ain't said nothing in 10 minutes. What'd I do?
Hey, even comparing Kendrick to Tupac, that's dirty work, man. You could have just compared him to Eminem and let the stands go at it.
No. This is not we gonna do that. Like first, now you're saying, hold on. Now you're saying Kendrick is comparable to Eminem. Stop it. He's hip hop, and he ain't a singing nigga. Like, come on. Like, this is Kendrick Lamar. He has bars. He has flow. Yeah, he's very conceptual. But now you understand how it feels. All you Nas fans, this is how we feel when y'all bring up Jay, the hit maker, and compare him to Nas. Now y'all gonna see how it feels for the new era of fans when they gotta have all these Kendrick and Drake arguments, and you comparing the singing nigga to the dudes who could spit his whole 6-minute song on the stage with no hype man. A lot of guys y'all put in the top 10 can't do that shit. You know, I'm just saying.
Let me ask you.
Y'all talk about he a singing nigga. He wasn't singing. He wasn't. Yeah. Technique is part of MCing too, my nigga. Technique is part of MCing too. It ain't just about how hype you can get a crowd. It's about technique. Yeah, you can get the crowd hype when you got your shirt off with 10 niggas with you. Can you do it by yourself, little homie? I'm just saying. I ain't ready to put I'm not ready to put Tupac. I'm not ready to put Kendrick over Tupac. I need a little bit more. But me personally, he's in my top 10.
John, where you got Kendrick all time?
He's like Isaiah Thomas to me. He's in that 11 through 14. I'm waiting to see if he has one more great album. And if he has one more great album, I feel like it's pretty much like it's undeniable because he has that 3 put out. Those 3 straight. Those are all classics. That's a great run. And he's a modern rapper, so I don't want to be like, I don't want to get too biased, you know, because I grew up on him. I didn't grow up on. I grew up on a lot of '90s rappers too, but I had to go back and check those albums. I had to go back in my dad's closet, go to tape, check those out, and then go back and do my history on a lot of that. I mean, I remember when Tupac was killed, and I saw the Biggie funeral outside the street, down the street. So. I wasn't there. I wasn't like an adult when it hit me, but I was still around. Right. So I'm just waiting to see if he's gonna like take us to another level.
When we talk about Pac, just to clarify for everybody and to be honest about it too, when we talk about his lyrical ability, and people can take it how they want to take it, are we talking about the emotion and content behind the lyricism? Are we talking about the strictly mechanics of the words and how they are written?
Can I answer that question real fast? I do think that there is a technique into being able to convey emotion into your words and what's on paper. When you put down something on paper and you bring it to life where it actually connects with people, that is a technique. And I think that sometimes people understate that technique.
But why does technique? Why does super technical syllable rapping matter? But why does super technical lyrical spherical babble rap? That's basically babble speed rap matter over somebody who can make a brilliant song. DMX Slippin' is a lyrical song. Whether you want to, that's lyricism.
You're telling me Pac technically is one of the greatest lyrics from a technical, not content, not emotion. You're all the word like Saha's latest freestyle. How he's
I don't even know what you mean when you saying this stuff. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that, who cares about any of that when
I'm syllable miracle, everything.
Yeah.
Get that out of here.
A lot of the times, none of that equals song making. We talking about song making, creating content, and making songs that last through the test of time. Really. All that lyrical, miracle, technical, double entendres, none of that matter to me.
A great lyricist, Leroy, makes a great, brilliant song. Jay-Z, when he made The Evil, is a brilliant song. When Nas made I Gave You Power, that's a brilliant song. You have to use lyrics to make a song anyway. The best lyricists are the best songwriters.
You're taking it as if I'm saying Pac is not brilliant. You're not hearing what I'm saying. I'm not saying Pac is not brilliant.
Yeah, but you giving credence to something that don't really matter in the context of making a song.
It doesn't matter to you. When Lupe Fiasco drops a record next week, all that technical shit he's doing, it may be weird and nerdy, but there is a science to that as well. So if you said no, then we are not talking about technical skill when we are talking about Pac. And I just wanted to make that clear. I'm just clarifying that.
It's all the same to me. It's all the same when it really comes down to it. It's like if Lupe make a song with all that lyrical, miracle, technical stuff that you're talking about, and the song land and is hidden, then that's just what it's going to be. It's just going to be a good song by a lyrical guy that finally made a good song that I like that.
It's a good song. That's. Yeah, I promise you, outside in the real world, Lupe is somebody. Like it's not just.
Let me get to the super, what are you talking about?
Let me get to the super chat real quick. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, even if you believe that it's been 15 years since Hove has had a great album, so it's been 20, 25, 30 years since most of our GOATs had a classic album. Why would the standard be different from Hove? Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, man. But to this So to like something as simple as like, you know, hey, yo, I remember Marvin Gaye used to sing to me. I had me feeling like black was the thing to be. And suddenly the ghetto didn't feel so tough. You know, we had it rough. We always had enough. I huffed and puffed and broke. You know, that shit like that is simple, right? But the way you approach it, it don't have to be lyrical miracle for you can feel to connect with what Pac is saying. You know what I'm saying? That right there is better than any kind of lyrical you can come up with to me.
To you better.
And I think that you're trying to knock Tupac for something that he didn't even want to do. He wanted to make songs that you felt and you heard. I'm sure that he could have got up there and rapped like the Fooch Nickens if he wanted to, or rapped like Dub C, or he could have done that. I'm sure he could have done that with no problem if that's what he wanted to do.
The fact that y'all are getting mad at the question let me know where we at. But to make something simple it takes genius too.
Leroy, it's not that we mad. I'm saying what you saying don't make sense when it comes down to actual song making. It doesn't make sense.
But making songs that are relatable or making it more easily and less complex, that's also genius. So I'm recognizing Pac's genius.
So you saying, so this is big. This is like a great topic, y'all, because look, check this out. Super, Mad Max, Ron, check this out, what y'all discussing and discoursing. Y'all are saying, like, the bottom line, it needs to be a definition of what an MC is, because what it sounds like is we're taking into accountability certain factors, and certain people are giving more weight to certain aspects of, because we saying like lyrical ability, songwriting ability, technical ability, and then delivery, MCing. Like, think what I feel MCing embodies all of that. So that means you have to take it all and weigh it equally, fellas. It's just my opinion. But if you songwriting, skill, so let's put it this way, Leroy, you would probably prefer Lupe's what's some fire? I can't even think of something real technical, but it's like Over California Love by Pac, or something like, you know, something more deep, something more, something like you would give that more weight. No. Pac's. You wouldn't.
It's no more.
Jay-Z. Okay, look, check it out. Tupac's song. Which one is the best to you, Leroy? Tupac's, you know, California Love, or, you know, Jay-Z's The Evils?
For Pac to still deliver his messages in the way he did is also genius, y'all. I'm not expecting someone to be super complex or super lyrical, because to pull back on that also takes skills. And I reckon.
So what are you saying?
Yeah. So what are you saying?
I'm clarifying though that we are making a distinction, because now we're acting like they're two of the same, but are they? You know, and it's like, and when we're talking about MCing, people are saying Pac is not just the best MC from the content. They're saying lyrically as a technician, he's also one of the best. Now I'm saying. No, if that's not the case, that's fine, and that does not take away from Tupac, because again, to deliver the kind of songs Pac is delivering takes genius. Kick Push has no special bars, but you see how it's delivered with nothing special, and it still turned out a great song. So you do not have to use lyrical miracles to make a great song, and I would never tell someone you have to use that. You don't.
A good example of a guy being too lyrical for their own good and probably should dumb it down more is a Papoose.
Papoose, okay.
Papoose is a guy, I mean, you love, you know, everybody know, you can recognize that he's great. He's lyrical as hell. He can rhyme, he can spit, he can bust a freestyle. He can do that, but he can't execute and make good songs. Or even like, I mean, like, you know, MF Doom, right? Like MF Doom is great. We love his style and how he rap and how he, you know, use his lyrics to his ability. He's a lyrical rapper, but we can't compare a MF Doom song to a Keep Your Head Up, or to a Death Around the Corner, or to a What Goes Around from Nas, or, you know what I mean? Like we can't. It's two different levels to this.
Super. How you rating that? So you giving more weight to the radio connectability versus the technical skills.
The radio ain't got nothing to do with it. I'm just talking about just songs I can feel. And that's why I like a Prodigy. I like Prodigy because I feel what Prodigy talk about. So I like Scarface because I feel what they talking about. I like Too Short because I feel what Too Short talking about. It's not about rhyming fast and and rapping orange with porridge and all of that other junk, man. It make a good song that I can relate to and I can feel, and I will like the music. I don't care about how he rapped on the song, and he used all these words and he said a word I never heard a rapper say before. If the song don't equal to nothing, it's a nothing burger.
This is why I need Saha to hurry up and drop that album so people can see how technical skill can deliver a thought where you feel it, and the technical skill in it made you feel it even more.
So Tupac did that better than Kendrick, Leroy. And he do it better than Jay-Z. I'm gonna keep it raw. We gotta keep it raw.
I think Tupac was more raw than a
Kendrick. No, not raw. He did what you said better than Kendrick and Jay-Z. He made good material that related and was quality more consistently than a Kendrick and a Jay-Z. Tupac did.
I think technically, from Jay's lyrical ability, I think there's techniques in there that Pac is not doing.
Right, that's correct. Right, Super.
But that's on purpose, though. That's purpose. Because he's rapping with a purpose. He's not just rapping for style and flash and swag. He's rapping with a purpose.
Getting to the point.
I think Jay has a purpose behind his rhymes.
But he kind of doing it to tell his story and kind of show off. Like it's like, Tupac is like, let me relate to the people. Let me make something that everybody can feel. Brenda's got a baby. Keep your head up. Letter to the president. Things like.
Ever been broke? I think if you've ever been broke before, there's something in Jay's music for you.
But it's like Jay don't really care. It's not. I don't know. I can't speak for Jay, but it's like, and I'm a fan. I was, before I stopped dealing in secular. But it's like, yeah, it's like Jay. It's about himself. Like Super is saying. Super brought up a great point weeks and weeks ago when he first said that. It's like Jay. He talks about his story. I get it that if you ever been broke, you can relate to emotions. You can't what? Nah.
And against emotions. So the way people feel about Pac, no matter how I break down Tetsuan Youth to you and how many different ways he conveyed a complex message, I cannot beat your feelings. You feel a way about Pac.
The music made you feel a way about Pac.
Because
the music made you feel Pac.
Audience. The music connects. It connects further than a Lupe.
I can't beat that. Your feelings are going to supersede skill.
So that's why Tupac is the number one, man, because he does that. That's what I'm saying. Like Lupe can't do that. Like Lupe hasn't shown that he can do it. He done it. I don't know.
I think Super Duper had a point a couple of weeks ago. Man. We gotta start dividing and looking at the rap game like fighters, right? Have different weight classes. I don't think it's a fair comparison to put K-Dot against Tupac. They're two totally different things, right? From a generational standpoint, the way they approach the mic, I just don't think that you can compare those two.
Wow,
even though the West Coast, I just don't think you can compare them because, for one, Tupac checks more boxes than K-Dot, right? You know what I'm saying? If you look at how Pac came in, his pen game was more poetic, if you want to think. And Kendrick's had a poetic pen game too, but he was more. Pac was rooted in the Black Panthers, right? He was rooted in the street, even though Kendrick's got some ties to the street.
We're talking about how you feel or the technique of writing poetics. Those are two different things. If you're talking,
I want to say they approach to me as a listener, as a fan of hip hop. They both approach the mic differently. You know what I'm saying? Kendrick is coming from a more metaphorical standpoint. He's using more lyrical devices in his way he approaches the rhyme and the way he approaches the song. Pac is coming a little bit more poetically. He's coming a little more grounded. It's a little bit more, to me, it seems a little bit more, it's more authentic the way that Pac is approaching his rhymes. And that's why when you say feel, that's why he was able to connect in a more, I hate to say pause, intimate way with the listener, right? And Kendrick connects with listeners too, but I'm saying Pac is something you really can't describe. It's not a technical aspect to it, right? It's not you're not going to go to Harvard and break down and decompose his lyrics like that. Well, they do that. They do that to Pac's lyrics, but they do it in a way where it's a little bit more, I had to say, organic is what I'm trying to say.
We do need Harvard rap though. The reason Lupe's music is not so emotional is because he's lost so many people in his life that if he makes emotional music, it'll make him emotional. So he doesn't like to feel emotional like that. So that's why his music is not like that. But we do need someone whose music can be broken down at a Harvard level. And that's not to say that Pacs can't. What it is the wording. You're using poetics. When you say poetics, you're talking about how you relate to the feeling of a dear mama or something. But there is another level of poetics that's not greater or less, but it's based on the technical writing. And Kendrick is technically writing poetics. It may not make you feel nothing, but the wording is technically a poem.
I mean, that's neither here nor there though. When it come down to songs, like this is music, man. This is songs like that we listening to. So, I mean, like that, all of that is neither here nor there. I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, it's it's a master, a mastery of words that Lupe is trying to execute. But I mean, who cares if the songs ain't hitting? And that's the same thing with Jay-Z. I mean, when we going back to Jay-Z, right? We talking about the purpose of why he made these albums. Who cares if the songs ain't hot? I don't care that he was making. If the songs ain't good, I don't care about Jay-Z's purpose in making this bad music. If the music is whack, it's whack. Like, we just got to be able to say that.
Wu-Tang, I listened to Wu-Tang Clan only because I wanted to hear lyrical tricks. I cared nothing about I cared nothing about how it made me feel.
And you weren't really listening to Wu-Tang if you were just listening to a lyrical tricks.
Yeah, they're more than that, man. They're much more than that.
All right. So, yes, I recognize that they do more than that. What I'm saying is when I buy Wu-Tang Forever, the reason why I'm buying it is because I want to hear lyrical mastery. I did not buy it because I wanted an emotional connection with Wu-Tang.
How lyrical, in this way that you talking, how lyrical is Cream?
But
how lyrical can it all be so simple? How miracle is this that you're talking about? Give me this example of what you're saying, that they was performing lyrical tricks. Those songs are songs with a meaning and a message, and they right on point, and they just good songs. That's it.
I grew up on the crime side, the New York Times side, staying alive.
Was on job. Secondhand, mom's bounce on old man, so then we moved to Shaolin Land.
Yeah, that's not lyrical miracle stuff.
And I started with this one and that one.
And Leroy broke his own rule. He listened to something for entertainment value instead of technical.
And even Deck's verse, and Deck might be the most lyrical miracle in the clan. He's like 22 long hard years and still struggling. Survival got me, but I'm alive on the rival.
But those are lyrical. But that's still a lyrical record. But it's not,
because they're lyricists. But it's more about hitting the core of your feeling emotionally.
That's it.
To you, it's about that. There is an audience that loves lyricism. They exist.
And man, that's the Eminem crowd. Like I said, that's that Eminem crowd. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm in it, Mike.
I was going to ask, why do you think songs like Cream hit so hard for their core base?
But I'm not disagreeing with y'all. There will always be someone there. I recognize that there are people that don't care about bars. So when you guys say that, I'm with you. But there is an audience that does care about these little technical bars, and a lot of and they are in Wu-Tang's fan base. They are in a Slaughterhouse fan base. They are in a whoever, a Cannabis fan base, a Razzcast fan base, a RJ Payne fan base. They're listening. When RJ Payne dropped Hellraiser, there is an audience that is listening for technical skill.
Mike, let me ask you, because you're the resident historian of According to Hip Hop. Leroy, you can kind of piggyback on the question, and the rest of the panel can too. Super duper, get your thoughts, LT, Mad Max. When did this dissection of lyrics start? Did it start with
Eminem? I'm telling you, right. It started with Eminem.
I remember a time when people just rapped and you just rap, and people weren't really.
Yeah.
When did
these conversations was not had until people started trying to make Eminem great.
Yeah.
This is.
I would say it started with battle culture. When you're an MC, sometimes you get into a battle. To battle someone that has to determine who won the battle. The battle can become very technical. And I think at that point, in the 90s, before Eminem, we were already battling. And I think battling over and over, it started to make people construct lines to hit different. And I think separation occurred.
Well,
Nobody was using this. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, what I was gonna say, that battle culture you speak of from the '90s and early 2000s, I look at like Cassidy being the face of that, right? And it was more so about how vicious your rhymes or your punchlines are gonna be. It was kind of like a Cassidy slash Jadakiss slash Fabulous type of approach to battling. You could go back and even see it on like 106 in Park when they used to do the little Freestyle Friday battle, stuff like that. So technical proficiencies weren't really the end all be all in saying who was gonna win those things. I remember when Cannabis was around, he was as technically proficient as anybody could ever be. He didn't win the people over a DMX or a Jay-Z at the time, or even LL Cool J, if we're being honest. So when we talk about these technical proficiencies and these I don't even want to say double entendres, but just these syllable counting and stuff on the mainstream level, that starts with Eminem. And I think that was the only way that the mainstream media or the mainstream fan base could actually articulate putting him in a high spot, because those are the only things that he did at a level that, I hate to say it, other MCs on that were better than him didn't even care about, because the approach was about making music that connected. It wasn't about putting together all of these nonsensical verbs.
Eminem grew up on Cool G Rap, so that's the.
But Cool G Rap is not. I don't think that's a fair comparison, because Cool G Rap actually connected those things to tell stories and actually connected those things with real live shit that niggas was fucking with, like.
And even at the time before Eminem, right? You still had your guys like Twister. You still had your Cool G Raps. You had the DMXs. This lyrical conversation was never a topic because we accepted all styles and all ways that people wanted to perform on the microphone. It didn't become a topic until guys like Eminem, Lupe Fiasco, and all these guys that's kind of like, mediocre, really, in real life, like kind of mediocre, but they can rap, they got technical skills on the microphone, but that's pretty much all they really have to offer. They don't have like the song content. They don't have the real song structure that guys before them came out with. So or even like a Lil Wayne. I mean, when you even think about Lil Wayne, Lil Wayne is a metaphor of bar rapper.
Super duper. I do want to stop you with the Lupe thing, because I think that Lupe coming out the gate didn't even get the shine that he could have gotten, because people didn't praise the syllabic rhymes and all that stuff.
Exactly.
It was about like when Lupe came through and made what he made with his second album, The Cool, and you know what I'm saying, and it was like T.I. and Wayne and those guys were running the yard, because it was more about, and Jeezy even. They were running the yard because the mainstream really wasn't putting credence behind all this lyrical miracle stuff until they needed to prop up Eminem. I mean, it's just where it starts and ends with, really.
I can't attribute lyricism to Eminem.
I'm not attributing lyricism to Eminem. I'm attributing people counting syllables and making that being a part of your greatness. No one ever sat there and counted Biggie's syllables, man. Even when that nigga was like, man, Giuliani ain't trying to see a black man turn to John Gotti and all of that. Like,
Mike,
I mean, nobody.
Even with that said, though, I mean, how come we never even mentioned Twister when these topics come up? Twister is one of the first guys that spit plenty bars, used plenty words, used plenty syllables. He never gets brought up in this lyrical miracle conversation ever.
Twister used 18 syllables per line. Okay, that's technical, y'all.
Who cares?
Twister is using 18 plus syllables per line. So
even with that being said, and I love Twister, and I think that he has one of the best features of all time. But it's like, at the end of the day, we care about what songs Twister got. We care about Adrenaline Rush. We care about, you know what I'm saying, what he's bringing.
You do. I like Adrenaline Rush because he was spazzing, not because I'm super emotional about it.
The answer
What are you
is
talking about, Leroy?
Leroy, you got to stop doing this. You're changing the argument like we only listen to one thing when it comes to hip hop. My biggest thing is you got to be able to do all the things. You know what I'm saying?
Listen to thing. That's the point I'm making. I'm saying you listen. There are multiple things. It's not just one thing. But to go back to your point, if Eminem came in contact with Cool G Rap, I know he heard something that sparked his style. So I can't act like it started.
But why are you going to G Rap though?
But see what I'm talking about, Leroy, and I think what you're missing, or
I might lose connection, y'all.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm saying, Leroy, and I think what's not connecting here is the fact that I'm talking about people adding credence to your greatness and putting you in a top 5 conversation because of syllabic rhymes. Nobody was doing that with Cool G Rap. People was talking about how dope Cool G Rap was as a storyteller. He was one of the best storytellers and still is. It wasn't like, yo, he fit this many syllables in a rhyme and niggas is talking about how many syllables and phrases that he fit in this rhyme. Nobody talked that type of stuff to Eminem. That's the rap genius in Eminem culture.
Well, Mike, I do think it started with Cannabis.
Ghostface Killer.
It did start with Cannabis, but nobody gave Cannabis props for it. Like, we saw how great Cannabis was, but you know what they said about Cannabis? Where's his music? Where are his songs? When because it came to Eminem, freestyles and syllables were enough to get him in the top 10.
You gave Cannabis props. So by you giving Cannabis props in 98, it don't matter what everyone else gave them when you yourself gave Cannabis props. The reason why you gave Cannabis props is because there is a technical proficiency in lyricism that's not connected if he gives you the best songs. The reason why you listen to Cannabis is purely because you wanted to hear the bars and you didn't care about you didn't care about whether the song all the way connected.
Let me get to the super chats real quick, guys. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, okay, I'm sorry, I missed a few. Hold on 1 second. The term lyrical is so hard to define because when Style P raps about his daughter that committed suicide, I tell God to hold my daughter for me. Super simple words, but the bars connect on level 10. That's a good point. Anthony Lassiter with the super, he says a super sticker. Shout out to that, man. Appreciate that. Super stickers are dope, man. That's just showing love. We appreciate that, brother. Stephon Young says, Leroy always on that BS.
Listen. I am close. I am nowhere close to a Tupac level of talent, right? Lyrically. But there is a difference between one thing, apples and oranges. If I'm doing something that is technically proficient, it may not touch you, but we have to recognize something. Is if I say it's boomerangs in my rapping's design that go over your head and hit you in the back of the mind, the tactical kind, Tetris, collapse the lines, it's the eye, the culture's mathematical pie, alphanumeric, powerful lyrics. It's not a dream, not just NEO criminal against the machine. Could have been facing 25 with an L, one of the street crew that hit a liquid metal, then caught by a T2. But these are proficiencies in the technology. One's not better than the other. They're two different styles, is all I'm saying.
It's two real quick. It's two different. Like Mike is speaking from like a media, what they hyped up, what they said about it, and Leroy speaking from a personal standpoint. That's what's really going. Like we speaking when we having these discussions, at least these ones we've been having tonight. It's about, okay, Leroy speaking like, this is what I was listening for. This is what I got it for. But then Mike is saying like, but the way people, the media, whomever, they portrayed Jay as if he's the best, he's this and that. But the music didn't sound good to me. But Leroy's saying, but it sounded great to me because he did all the lyrical devices and this and that. So it's like two different perspectives going at each other, and I don't think we're ever gonna get a.
We got a question real quick. Go ahead and answer your question.
Who's better, Kendrick or Drake? Who's better, Kendrick or Drake?
Drake is better. I mean, Kendrick, you can say won the battle. Drake is
Mike. I don't know.
I mean, Kendrick's got to be better now. It is what it is until proven otherwise.
Yeah, Kendrick.
How can he be better, Mike? He ain't run no era. He ain't run
no beat Drake. He beat the best. He beat the best.
He beat the best, man. To be the man, you got to beat the man, right?
Facts. And I'm not a Kendrick fan.
I'm
He
saying
made better albums than Drake too.
For the purpose of evolution, maybe we need to have a separation. And if we don't want to have a separation, fine. But there's a middle ground between both. But I think we should start, because no matter what we say, hip hop is going to keep going. It's going to keep.
Leroy, the problem with what you're saying is, bro, like what you're saying is like if somebody were to tell you, yo, Usher is a better singer than Michael Jackson. It's like we don't care. That stuff doesn't matter to us. Who's the better artist?
Yeah, and that's fine. For me, there were some artists to listen to for a whole music.
Which he's not, but I feel the example.
Say what you gonna say, Leroy? Say what you was about to say, Leroy.
Some artists that I listen to for the full artist experience, and I relate to them. I can relate to a Dom Kennedy. I can relate to, I listen to a Nas. I can relate to, there's a full album experience. There's some artists that I just want to hear bars.
See? That's the difference. What Leroy said, and that's what some people, shout out still here in the chat, Deuce Falco, Andre Miller, Chris White, they saying like, Leroy, man, you speaking like a stan, quote unquote. I rock with Leroy. I rock with his opinion because everybody's entitled to it. But they saying like, Leroy, you can't go criticize Jay. You can't go against, because he's saying what he felt. He's saying how it makes me feel. What Leroy, but y'all saying like, nah, it's not like that because it's not received that way. It's not coming through the speaker. We're not listening to it. We're not Leroy. That's just all it is. We never gonna be Leroy.
All right. Well, this is the, and I used to think like Leroy in a lot of ways.
Yeah, me too.
Because I was a big Cannabis fan, and and the verse you just spit, those bars. That's the type of rap that I personally listen to and personally like. I mean, I love all types of hip hop, but I really draw to the Bullyfoot rap and the lyricism in that way. I was a big Cannabis fan, but even as a Cannabis fan, and when it came time to debate with people who were hip hop fans, you can't really argue that Cannabis is better than DMX. When DMX has his Dark and Hell is Hot out there, even though Cannabis uses a lot of words and probably more of a complex lyricist, but this guy over here has How's It Going Down? This guy has the Rough Riders anthem. He has Get At Me, Dog. He has Stop Being Greedy. And Cannabis just didn't have the ability to make those records. Now, he had the ability to do a verse like A Beast from the East and, second round knockout. But I think that there's more to being a great lyricist than just being able to do one or two of those things. DMX was able to show that he's a great lyricist on many different planes. If you can make a How's It Going Down, you can make a Get At Me, Dog, Stop Being Greedy, and then go around and make Slippin'. That's impressive as a lyricist. And as great of a lyricist that Cannabis was on the freestyles and all that stuff, he didn't stretch himself to be able to do those things. And that's all I'm saying.
Skill. I think for DMX to write like Cannabis, it takes equal skill as it would take Cannabis to write How's It Goes Down, or to write like DMX. I think it takes an equal skill, because if I told DMX I need something like Channel Zero,
I got to go back over here.
He would really have to go into his bag. Really have to get to his bag. So I think it takes equal skill to do what Cannabis does. You know what I mean?
I just feel like, when you go out there and see a lot of the talented MCs out there, and there's a lot of talented MCs on the battlefront as well, I just see that there are more people who are able to excel in the lyrical miracle format than there are MCs that are able to do what Scarface does or what Tupac was able to do. So it makes me feel like being able to tap into what Pac, Faith, and these guys did is obviously more difficult because less people have achieved that.
Well, I mean, it's more difficult because you're dealing with everyday themes. So if I say, everybody, let's make a song that's like, we're gonna win. Let's make a song called We're Gonna Win. See, that theme right there is so universal that it is harder to make that connect, because in each one of our songs, the hook's gonna go, we're gonna win, or in our verses, we're gonna talk about we're gonna win. That's a very that it's harder to get that across because everybody uses that. We're gonna win.
It's really about who can make the best conceptual song, and I'm not trying to say concept like you know, what some of these nerdy people are into. I'm just saying, like what Mike said about DMX, right? DMX made Damien. If people know what Damien's about, he's basically telling you selling your soul. That's that Illuminati. I sold my soul. I have to make a blood sacrifice. He's going into that route on that song. That's a conceptual song. It's a great overall song. To write that song, DMX has to be at the top of the game in the history of the game at lyricism, just to make a song like that, just to make us stop being greedy, just to make us slipping. For Pac to make a Me Against the World song, to go make a Brenda's Got a Baby. Then he goes and makes a Me and My Girlfriend, where he bites off a Nas, but he freaks it in a different way. We already know about Nas. We know about Jay, and Jay has some great concepts too. We already know about the evils and stuff like that. Like these are lyricists. Like I never even counted Jay-Z's syllables. I just know the man has an entendre game that's nastier than hell. All right, I just know that. I don't count Nas's syllables. I just know Nas is a genius. That's the best MC I ever heard on a mic. You know, Rakim. I don't count that. I don't go look at highlight the color of what syllable lines up with this one. Like that's that. You know, Royce the 5'9". I'm not into that, bro. I'm sorry.
You though, if we all watched Blade before, right? The Blade movie. You know they're working on a new Blade movie, right? So you can come up with a 60-second song or jingle that is very simple. I'm using the word simple. If you can come up with a simple 60-second song about the movie Blade, you could probably make some bread for yourself, right? But here's where the complexity comes into play. How do you write a simple song about Blade?
What are you saying? How do you write?
Right.
Explain.
Make a song for a movie. It has to be stylistically and lyrically simple because it's going to play in the background of the preview, right? But if we're writing that song, we also have to take into account the character Blade. Now I have to use both my lyrical bag and simplicity, and that's where it's a catch-22 because you're going to try to be as simple as you can, but you're going to run into roadblocks trying to explain the character Blade, to which you're going to have to use lyrical tools.
So did you taking points off for DMX like slipping or Damien or Nas? Are you taking the points off because it's not technical, like more technical devices being done? Are you taking points off? Or are you saying like that's what it is? That's fire. That's a 10 out of 10.
I'm saying in 98
DMX.
Sometimes I did have an argument.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking.
Between Cannabis and DMX. I cannot lie and say I didn't have that argument because I did.
I believe you.
And
there's something wrong with that. That's crazy.
But look, Super and Leroy and Ron, real quick, one thing. I'm the type of cat, I like good music, great music, just like Super, like Mad Max, like all y'all. But at the same time, I find myself getting into that quote, you would say nerd stuff, ain't nothing nerd about me, but you can call it nerd, like where I'm counting it, where I'm looking at the, like, look, Eminem put this together masterfully with the technical. I find myself delving into that. I know Leroy do that too. So it's Super, you can't say like it's lame or corny, like some people rock with that.
But listen, this is the problem with that, right? Because just because y'all doing this, but then people will turn around and shit on a guy like Too Short.
Never,
or a guy like Tupac for not doing that.
See, I don't like that. Yeah,
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Like I'm not
Leroy, but Leroy, you be doing that, Leroy.
You two wouldn't do that, but Leroy, that does get done.
Nah, Leroy do that sometimes. The Tupac though, when we do the Tupac, the cultural impact, you say that, Leroy, sometimes about Pac.
I don't recall ever shitting on Tupac, and I can't imagine doing that. I think it's being taken that way because you've never heard this opinion come from nobody. Like, people have heard this opinion. So it's again, even when I said that, when I used to argue Cannabis versus DMX, it's because different days of the week I feel different. On Monday, I may be going through something with my family, and I'm listening to DMX, right? On Tuesday, maybe I got over what I was going with, and I'm I'm studying something, and then I'm listening to Cannabis because at the time I was studying something. So my mentality changed in those two different times. So one's not in another time. I just do respect both. And sometimes sometimes
I mean, I think we all respect it though. I think we all respect it. It's just about what we prefer, or if those guys actually make good songs or have a great catalog, or you know what I mean. Like it's a time. Like I said, I like MF Doom, but I wouldn't try to compare him to a Tupac. You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to it, there's degrees to this. You know what I'm saying? And Doom is very lyrical. He's technical. You got to listen to him. He say stuff that matter. But for the most part, Doom is just rapping. It's lyrical miracle rap.
I love Inspector Deck. I think Inspector Deck is one of the best MCs. Nobody knows Inspector Deck's solo songs, but I only listen to Inspector Deck. No, and I respect the brother because I think he's
for sure.
I listen to him purely for just bars. That's just it. And I'm not taking away from him. I think it's a skill to that. I respect that. But I can't get what I get from Scarface from Inspector Deck because I'm not going to Inspector Deck for that. When I go to Inspector Deck, I want to hear just dart throwing, ninja star throwing, sword swinging. You know what I mean? I'm listening for a certain thing. That's it. That I can't get from Scarface. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a time and a place for everywhere. That's why it's the game. I mean, that's why we gotta respect and embrace guys being original. You know what I mean? Like that's part of the game. That is why we like a Method Man. That is why there's a fan base out there for Kendrick or for J. Cole or for Future or you know what I mean? Like originality is what the game should be all about. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, everybody got but when we comparing, that's when the madness got to stop. That's when the madness stops because you can't just say like a Lupe is better than a Tupac without having something to back this up other than lyrical ability or something like that. Without the songs, without the classics, without the meat to back this up and to be able to say this.
But again, if I made that argument, it would be taken as I'm disrespecting Tupac.
Because it's disrespectful.
That's not what I'm
doing. It's very disrespectful to compare Lupe Fiasco to Tupac. It is.
See, Leroy?
It's disrespectful. Because that's downplaying somebody's whole legacy, songs that matter, songs that's been standing the test of time for the last 25 years to a guy who like.
So y'all don't believe I love Pac. And I'm sorry y'all don't believe that.
You don't love Pac if you're willing to compare him to Lupe Fiasco. You don't.
But with the same content that y'all respect coming from Tupac, I also think is present in Food and Liquor, in The Cool, in Tattoo and Youth, in Drogas Waves, in Zion, and I think those same contents are also present in Lupe's music.
Some elements. There's some elements to it, just like there's some elements in Kendrick to Tupac. There's some elements there, but the execution is not done the same.
Hey Ron Super Leroy Mad Max. Somebody in the chat said I'm doing a super chat, but I'm not. Andre Miller, he said, but this is why we have to be careful because I don't listen to Pac for the same reasons I listen to Jay. What about you, Super? How you feel about that statement?
That's what I'm saying.
I understand. I understand that. I understand that. I mean, some people don't want to hear like somebody kicking knowledge. So it's the same thing where somebody would not listen to a Common and rather listen to a Lil Wayne. You know what I mean? Like I get it. I understand. Like it's all about your preference and what you like. So that's true. But it still has to be context and like some type of groundwork, not groundwork, but criteria to what we're saying. Yes. So like
we are picking content over lyrical ability. And that's what we're doing. We gotta
but but if we're not doing that, right? That's counterculture. That's against the culture to do that.
We're picking
that is counterculture to do that.
We're picking concepts though. It's not about content, it's more about concepts. I'll say this, right? When you have somebody who's a super lyricist like a Nas, right, and he comes up with a great song that has a great concept, those people get touted as geniuses. There's a reason why people put Nas in a category, Rakim in a category, Jay to a degree in a category, and then underneath them, goes the Pacs and guys like that. They may not be as technically gifted as a Nas. They might make better songs than Nas, but Nas made a song that's great enough conceptually to add on his genius with the pen that makes him over the top. When you talk about Lupe and guys like that, they don't have. To me, he doesn't have a genius record for me to go back and sit there and be like, he's
Mad
up
Max,
there with those names.
Lupe's dilemma, it has more to do with the business relationship in Atlantic. Him refusing to sign a 360 created a situation to where they told him we were going to pull marketing from you. So Lupe is paying for his videos himself. Now, I'm not creating an excuse for you. What I'm saying is, had the machine been on his side instead of working against him, I think that maybe creatively a more powerful music would come from that. But when you're working against Lupe, it's like you're making him struggle just to get where he's trying to go. So those things have to be considered as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, I got so much going on the family front, guys. I haven't been really engaged in the conversation like normally, but let's wrap it up. Let's go around. Let's go around the horn real quick.
You got a little super chat, Ron.
I got a super chat.
One of them. Yes, sir.
Stephon Young, he's the greatest fan of Leroy, says Leroy just like to argue about anything.
I hate it.
I don't do that.
You know, we need to have a show one day where we just have everyone that wants to debate Leroy call in, and then we can just go Leroy versus everybody. Let's just try that out.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah,
I know Leroy would love that.
I think it'll be like a gauntlet. I think that'll be entertaining, right? We can see who won. Round one will be Super Duper. Super Duper go first. Then round 2 be Mad Max.
LP
be round 3.
We got to get Still Here in here too. Still Here got to get it.
We got to get Still Here in here. We got to get Stephon Young in here. And we got to get everybody in here, man. As Leroy, man, that'll be good. It'll be a pay-per-view event called Versus. That's the real Versus. You know what I mean?
we'll take everybody take a turn beating up on Leroy.
Yeah. But you know what? I was we planning this New York run, and Jar popped in and out of the chat today. He said we was gonna plan to do like a little, just a conversation, have a conversation. Now he don't want to do it no more. Hey, the invitation's still open, Jar, man. Don't be like that. I see y'all.
Shout out to Jar.
Shout out to Jar, man. I think it'll be an interesting conversation. I'll actually take off my glasses if you agree to meet with me, on the pod in New York. I'll take off my glasses.
Their 100th episode coming up pretty soon. So
I know. Maybe for episode 101, we can do a cross collab or something. But let's close out the show, man. Super duper, Mad Max, LT, Leroy. What are your thoughts on some of the new music that we received over the weekend from Rakim, Juelz, Santana, Jadakiss? What do y'all think? What are your expectations for Kendrick? Do you think an album should come out come out on the eve of the pop out show and the Not Like Us video? And so let's close out the show. Closing thoughts. Mad Max, you go first.
Say that again.
I said, what's your thoughts about the new music that came out over the weekend? The Juelz, the Jadakiss. What's your thoughts on Kendrick's next move? And just closing thoughts.
I didn't like the Juelz and Jadakiss song. I didn't really care for it.
Yeah, it was trash, bro.
It was trash. Okay, cool.
Yeah. That was don't worry about him. He don't know what he's saying. But I didn't care for the Juelz song, and then I didn't care for the Rakim, my guy. That's the God. I didn't care for that song. I'm sorry, I didn't care for that. K-Dot, he's just going. I'm glad he made the music video. That's a West Coast thing to do. When they make their diss records, they like to put a visual to it. So that's cute. Barry Drake, do what you got to do. It is what it is. This is his little moment. He needs it. His coast needs it because they really been dead since the 90s. I mean, they talk about New York, but the West Coast been dead since the 90s. They had a little pops ups every now and again, but they've been dead since the 90s, so they need it. I'm happy for them.
No doubt. Well, Mad Max, man, we appreciate you tapping in as always. Tomorrow's show announcement, everybody. We got a couple big shows this week. Tariq Nasheed interview is coming. We got the hip hop movie show where we talk about the best hip hop movie soundtracks, the movie posters, best actors, best actresses, best movies, best scene stealing performances, best villains in hip hop movie history. That's coming this week. What else we got? We got the top 25 features of all time. That's tomorrow. So tune in, check us out, tap in. Man, Max, I hope Jay will have a couple features on there, man. But tap in with us tomorrow, though, bro. We appreciate
you. Yeah, I got you. No problem.
LT, man, what's your some final thoughts, bro?
Man, I just want to say shout out, of course, to the platform. According to Hip Hop, y'all hit the like button. Everybody in the chat, hit the share button. Hit every button you can hit, get it out. But BSF drum work, getting ready for that Conway the Machine tour, July 27th. Ron and Mike too. I'll be down that way doing a little tour setup next weekend too in ATL. I don't know where y'all at or whatever, but for sure through the weekend I'll be down in the ATL getting some stuff done. So definitely want to pop out a connect up, whatever the case, or we'll see. But
we're gonna link up for sure. I'm gonna respond to your email tomorrow, man. So we're gonna make that work.
And then just finally, yes, sir. And then finally, just about the music, like Mad Max said, I hadn't tapped in with really too much of the new stuff. I don't even to be real with y'all, I don't even tap in with with none of the new stuff. I hear what people say about it. I read the lyrics. I be focused on, a little higher calling up here, focused on my Yahweh power and all of this stuff. Y'all know. But the bottom line with everything we said tonight, I respect all the opinion. I respect the feedback. It's very in-depth, intellectual from every person. And I just feel like we listen for different things, and certain stuff just either connect because of what we add or what we come from or what we doing at the time, or it just don't connect. And then some stuff like Super said a lot, like consistency with these things, like Jay, like M, like, they've been out for a long time. Like, Leroy always says 30 years, 20 years, 30 years. Tupac, he got cut short. But I just think, like, the Tupac catalog still holds super strong just for what he did. Is the impact, the power within that short period of time kind of hold more weight than the longevity of 20 years still trying to compete with Pac. Some people say it's not a competition, that they passed them, but it just holds for each different person. So salute to the platform. I respect it. Appreciate y'all. And I'm going to link up with y'all. Hit me up.
No doubt, man. See you next week, brother. We appreciate you tapping in with us, LT.
We out. Yes, sir.
Super duper, brother. What's on your mind tonight, brother? How you want to end it out? How you want to close this out, bro?
Love and support to everybody, man. Much love to the panel today. Hey, we be talking crazy, but we gotta respect everybody's opinion. Much love to Leroy for always standing in the fire, getting cooked and boiled. But what I say, I like the Rakim verse. I like the Rakim verse, man. I wasn't really a big fan of Corrupt's verse on there. Master Killer was just all right. I mean, it seemed like I've heard that verse from him before or something. So, I mean, salute to Rakim. He held it down pretty solidly on the track. It's nothing to get extremely excited about, but it still was a nice track. I'm losing reception here too, y'all. I'm in Cleveland right now. So I don't know if y'all can hear me or not. Sharp Rose on my screen. But salute to everybody, man. I'll holler at y'all tomorrow.
All right, no doubt, man. Super duper, man. Have them features ready, man. Top 25 features tomorrow, brother. Have them ready.
Okay.
All right, bet.
No doubt, brother. Appreciate you, G. Leroy.
J features. Just real briefly. It's like someone's outlook on spirituality, right? You have a Christian, a Muslim, a Buddhist, a Judaism. I can see the greatness in all of them because all of them contain jewels, right? So that's just a thing. Like, I don't have to knock one down to big up the other. Like, this is better than this. They all have jewels in them. You know what I mean? So that's one thing. Two, I challenge everybody who is watching this show to do what I don't think people can do. What's that? I want everybody to pick 2 albums that you don't like, but that you recognize are great. Give me 2 albums in the comments that you don't like, but you still recognize that they're great albums. However you want to define the word great, right? I do not believe people are capable of doing that. And what I mean is, like, there are albums I don't like, but I could point out to you why they are great albums. And I don't even like the album. So this is where we got to detach from our personal biases and just rate the music. You know what I mean? Now, that I know that's super difficult. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, And that's as far as the music, I'm gonna go listen to Your Old Drew, the movie, because before I got on here, I heard Yasin Bey kicking the verse after a Method Man was kicking the verse, and after I heard that, I got to go listen to the project. It had Madlib on it. It had a bunch of different dope producers. So I'm definitely gonna check that out right now, and of course I got to check out the rest of the RJ Payne, Hellraiser, and that's it. And I'm waiting on the Saha, man. That freestyle he kicked, the Flash freestyle is Mr. EGOT. That was great, man. You know what I mean? Everywhere my Sprinter van go, my nights are starry. I mean, it seems simple, but it's some barcodes in there. So that's all, man. Great show, though. I can't hear you, Ron. I can't hear you.
Like and subscribe. Where my dad can get a swing shot.
Yes, he said like and subscribe so his dad can get a slingshot. Yeah, yes, that's good. Thank you, son. I appreciate that. But yo, check this out, man. Thank you for tapping in tonight, man. We got big shows this week. Tariq Nasheed interviews coming. Hip hop movie episode is coming. We got the top 25 features is coming. It's been a great show, man. I think we got a lot of good conversation tonight. No matter where you side on the fence, make sure you know it's always according to hip hop. It's according to you. It's according to the people. Thank you for Mike D for checking in and tapping in on the weekend rhyme. Maybe we can make that more of a reoccurring appearance. He'll pop in on a Saturday or two once a month, man. But I think it was cool, man. But anyway, we appreciate y'all. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Everything counts. And yes, every like and subscribe helps the young man get you want a slingshot, right?
Yeah.
You want a slingshot. All right, God. Peace.
Peace. See y'all tomorrow, man.
No doubt.
Are we the only ones left now?
Yeah, we're the only ones left.
Wait, Daddy, can I do my channel now?
No.
Why?